20-year-old college student Michael Hubbard is suing his mother, phone service rep Samantha Votava, for money he claims she promised to give him. Samantha says she promised him nothing.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please. Yeah, this is case number 404 on the calendar in the matter of Hubbard versus Votava. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Mr. Hubbard, the defendant is your mother.
Yes, ma'am.
According to your complaint, your mother promised to give you some money towards the purchase of a car.
Right.
You say that she promised to give you at least $1,000.
Yes.
You went out and purchased a car, and how much did you spend for the car?
The car was actually like $5,500.
I thought you said you spent $3,000.
$3,000 was actually how much I was going to spend on the car when I told my mom. But I actually ended up spending $5,500 because she told me she was going to give me some money.
Excuse me.
Shh, just a minute.
Your Honor?
Speak not.
No, I've got pertinent information. We never agreed to any amount of money to give him.
Quiet.
But we never agreed.
Could you be quiet?
We never
So
agreed.
last time...
I actually, you know what, Your Honor? $3,000 was how much I said I was going to spend on my car. That's the truth.
You did sign this complaint,
Yes, I
did you
did.
not, sir, where you
Yes,
say,
I
I
did.
bought a car for $3,000?
Right.
All right, so let me see
sorry.
the bill of sale for the car that you bought. Now you
Okay.
say you spent $5,500.
This is actually the loan that I had to take out. You see, Your Honor, actually, you know what, though? The thing is, this whole court...
Just a second.
Okay.
The amount of credit approved was $45.75.
Right, because
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now you say that your mother promised to give you at least $1,000. When did she promise to give you this $1,000?
Okay, I got in my car accident. I totaled my car back in March of 2002. And after that, my stepmother, Vicky, she called my mom and told her about the accident. Then I called my mom just to let her know I was okay and everything like that. And she told me, since how my dad bought the first car, she was going to help me like with the second car. She told me she'd give me like $1,200. And she ended up giving me $200 in May as a down payment. And then she told me she'd give me like $100, you know, a month after that because she couldn't afford to just give me $1,000 like right off the bat. So I said, I was like, you sure you want to do this, you know? And she's like, yeah, your dad helped you. I want to help you the best I can. And I said, okay, that was fine. And so that was the agreement between us. And actually, my mom is really, really a really good mom. I love her to death. She raised me and my brother and my sister as like a single mom, and she did a really good job.
So what are you suing her for?
This is the reason why I'm suing her. I'm suing her actually because the way she's been using her money lately just is not right, because she told me the reason why she wasn't giving me $100 a month is because of her financial problems. I thought she had like serious financial problems, but she actually, it comes to like out that she really didn't have that many financial problems, because like a couple months later, she told me she bought 2 new cars. She bought a new car for herself and for my stepfather. And I'm like, you know, if you have financial problems, why do you have enough money to buy 2 new cars? And I had to get I had to work extra hours. I'm in college, so I had to like work like 40 hours a week and go to college, and it was killing me. And I was doing it because I thought she had financial problems. Then to come find out, just a couple months ago, I found out she wants to pose in an adult magazine, and she's putting a portfolio together to do that.
So
and
what does that have to do with you?
Well, this is my mom, and I really think
It has
that's...
nothing to do with you. The only issue is whether she promised to give you another $800.
Your Honor?
She did.
I didn't ask you anything.
But I have some pertinent information.
You
Because
said
it was
that
never-
before, and I said I'm not interested in what you have to say right now, sir. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And so, she actually told me...
Quiet.
Okay.
Did you have a conversation with your son after he had an automobile accident?
Yes, Your Honor, I did.
Okay. And did you indicate to him that you would help him purchase a new car?
Not exactly.
What exactly did you say to him?
I told him that I was going to send him $200 to help him with the down payment of a car. Plus, I sent him $50 for his birthday and advised that he use that towards the down payment of a car. I told him that I would try to send him $100 a month, maybe $50 a month, whatever I could try.
I don't want to hear you. I'm listening to your mother now. She was quiet. Now you keep quiet.
Okay.
I want you to try to think. Try to clear your mind. And I want you to try to think of exactly what you said to him. You said you would give him the down payment, which you gave him. And you did tell him that you would try to send him something every month.
Correct.
How much did you say you would send him every month?
I didn't give him a set amount. I told him it would be anywhere from, I said if I could send him 100, I would. If I could send him 50, I would. You know, if I could send something, I would. but I did not set a dollar amount, and I didn't say that I'd send him $1,000 either. I was just trying to help him as I could.
She said
And I think that he's just being really vindictive right now because of the fact that we have different moral values.
Your Honor.
And
I'm not.
Okay, I'm sorry.
He's upset with me because I am planning on doing a photo shoot with an adult magazine, and I think that he's just being vindictive in bringing me into court for that money because he doesn't want me to do that.
Well, it sounds to me as if you and your son enjoyed a pleasant relationship. Is that right?
That is very correct, yes.
Okay. How old is he?
He's 19.
And how old are you?
I'm 38.
Do you have other children?
Yes, I do.
How many other children do you have?
I have 2.
How old are they?
15 and 10.
And your 15-year-old is a boy or a girl?
Boy.
Where does he live?
With me.
And what about the 10-year-old?
She's a girl and she's with me.
Okay. If what you're telling me is that your son is upset with you, and you say because we have different morals, that's not probably true. Not upset with you because you have different morals. It sounds to me like he's upset with you because he thinks that you made a choice that's going to embarrass him, embarrass yourself, embarrass his brother, embarrass his sister, and to be quite honest with you, madam, although this is not part of this case, he's 100% correct. You have made a very dumb choice. If you think at 38 years old, as the mother of 3 children, one of whom is 19 years old, and the other one is a 15-year-old teenager, and the other one is a 10-year-old, if you think you're going to have a new career, Hollywood is going to find you at age 38 posing in a magazine that's going to embarrass your child, you're nuts. Hollywood's not looking for you. Do you understand? Hollywood is not looking for you. Not. And if you make $5,000 doing this photo shoot, it's not worth the respect of your children. So I would do a little bit of rethinking along those lines, and that's just gratuitous advice from somebody. Somebody offered me a lot more at my age, and who would want to look at it, I don't know, but the truth of the matter is, at age 38, you're a very attractive woman, but your body is not the same as somebody who's 22. And if somebody's going to pay $1.50 to look in a magazine, they're going to look at somebody who's 22, not somebody who's 38 or slightly older.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I wouldn't have went out and bought that expensive of a car if I wouldn't have thought that she was going to give me the money. I'm not retarded, you know?
Oh.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Michael Hubbard says his mother, Samantha Votava, promised to give him $1,000 so he could purchase a car. Michael says she came up a little short.
Mr. Hubbard, I'm not exactly sure what she said. She probably said to you, I'm going to try to send you $100 a month.
Yeah, she did.
I believe that she said that to you. Okay. I'm going to try to send, put your hand down. I'm going to try to send you $100 a month. I believe she said that. That is not a promise to pay you $100 a month, sir.
She did promise. She even told her. She didn't just tell me, she told my stepmom too. And I wouldn't have went out and bought that expensive of a car if I wouldn't have thought that she was going to give me the money. I'm not retarded, you know?
Oh.
That's a matter of opinion.
I don't believe that she said to you, I am going to give you $100 a month.
She said, she did. She did. She did.
Go ahead,
she said,
step up. Last name is?
Hubbard. I'm a stepmother.
You're a stepmother?
Yes.
Go ahead.
The day of the car accident, I called her to let her know that he was in a car accident. And she said, she was hysterical, and she said, I will pay him $1,000. She kept saying over and over, I'm going to get this done, I'm going to send him the money. She said something like $200 a month that she was going to be sending him.
No, you say 200, he says 100.
No,
she sends a month. She got a little confused.
But she told me 200 a month, and then she would call because I speak to her more often than they speak. So she said she started off with 200 a month, and then 1,000, and then it just all disappeared after she wanted to pursue other things. You want me to sit down?
Your Honor, she did. She gave me that $200. She gave me the $200 as a down payment, and then she gave me $50 and told me, she said, you should probably put it towards your car.
You don't belong here suing your mother, sir.
You don't understand. We talked, and she said, I'm going to give you $1,200.
You don't belong here suing your mother, sir. I'm going to explain a little contract law to you. Ordinarily, there has to be in a contract some consideration. So if somebody says, I'm going to give you $1,000, there has to be a consideration for it in exchange for you doing something, in exchange for you naming the car. What's your first name?
Samantha.
The Samantha, I'm going to give you $1,000.
Okay.
In this instance, there was no consideration. She merely said to you, according to you, I'm going to give you this money.
Right.
A valid contract has not been created unless it was in writing, and this wasn't in writing. Is that right?
Right. It wasn't in writing.
It wasn't.
Okay.
Just, I'm educating you.
Yes,
Let
ma'am.
me try to educate you for a moment, because maybe you learned something. In this case, if I believe that she said to you, I am going to give you $1,000, and you acted on that by going out and purchasing a car to your detriment, which means you did something that was putting yourself in a financial bind based upon her promise, that is an exception to the rule so that the courts can enforce that. Do you understand that, Bert?
Yes.
Yeah. So, you could still be held responsible, if I believe that. But what I believe is your mom said to you, I'm going to try to give you $50, $100, $200 a month towards the car. And you were hopeful that she was going to do that. And in reliance on that, you went out and bought the car of your dreams, which was what, sir?
95 Nissan 200SX. That's not that expensive of a car. It was used, and it was a private owner. So it was
But you could have bought a Saturn.
I could have bought a Saturn.
A 1995 Saturn
Your
for a lot
Honor.
less, right?
Right, but she said that she's going to give me $1,200. Your Honor.
Excuse
She told
me, Your Honor.
What?
As a matter of fact, I had a 92 Saturn when he was wanting me to give him, you know, this money.
Now, this gentleman is who?
This is my husband.
Okay, he's dying to say something. Now I'm going to let him speak. Now stand up, sir. Now, how long have you been married?
2 years.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a manufacturing engineer. What I wanted to say was that my stepson, using poor judgment, bought a car. When he bought the car, he didn't put full coverage on it. So when he got in the wreck, my wife was beside herself. She came to me and asked me, can we send him what we can? And I said, yes, we can send him what we can, but no more, because we're on a tight budget. We got 2 more kids. So his poor judgment in not insuring his car to its fullest extent. Now, it was a mistaken judgment, and he totaled the car, and the best thing that came out of it, he was unharmed.
And I also, Your Honor, I had told him in the very beginning to make sure that he had full coverage on the first car, because usually kids wreck their first car.
Your Honor, I couldn't afford full coverage.
That's like we're not going to make a big first wedding. Thank you for your explanation.
Your Honor.
Can I tell you something, please?
Yeah.
Okay, his story is not completely true, because actually, I didn't buy my first car. My dad bought me my first car.
So you should have had insurance on it, is what
I
he's
did have
saying. But
insurance.
it's really not important. The important thing is whether I believe that she made a statement, and that statement was, I am going to give you 50, 100, 200, a specific amount, and in reliance upon that, you went out and purchased this car. I believe that what your mother said to you was, I'm going to help you, I'm going to send you $200 now, give you another $50 for your birthday, and I'm going to try to send you what I can every month.
She told me.
Listen to me. That's what I find. That's my job. My job is to try to figure out what is logical.
Right. I'm just trying to
Right?
they keep
And
saying that.
it also is very distressing to me that a child knows that, I mean, I don't think your mother probably has a whole bunch of money. Is that right?
Well, she bought 2 brand new cars.
I
She
don't
keeps
think
saying
that
they
that-
had, like,
listen to me, sir.
financial
I work.
problems.
I
They just
work
got
hard.
tattoos. She just got tattoos like the other day. They say they have
Listen
no
to
money.
me. That's not your business.
It's not my business, but
You're
they keep
19 years
telling me-
old. It's not your business. All that is your business is, and one thing that you said to me that I can relate to is that I think you are angry with your mother because of some career choices that she's making that I certainly hope she rethinks. In any event, your lawsuit's dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
That's embarrassing if your mom's like on page 56 in Playboy.
I should be able to do whatever I want to do.
It really bothers me.
I think it's just going to be something he has to accept, and I hope that he'll still continue to love me.
Limousine company owners Deborah and Gregory Williams are suing loan officer Sherry Armstrong for the cost of her wedding limo.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 439 on the calendar in the matter of Elite Limousine versus Armstrong. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Folks, have seats.
Who's going to speak on behalf of Elite Limousine?
I will.
Good. Tell me your name.
I'm Deborah Williams.
Well, it's an interesting case. You provided limousine service for the defendant's wedding, picked up the defendant, and I assume the wedding party at the church and took them to where they had to go. Your bill for the evening was $795, something like that.
Yes,
Is that
ma'am.
right?
Yes, ma'am.
Defendant refuses to pay. The defendant says that it was very nice of you to send the limousine. She never hired you. Correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. When were you married?
October 26th
Where?
at Zor United Methodist Church in Greer, South Carolina.
How big is this town in Carolina?
It's not a very big town.
How many churches are there?
Probably 30.
Was this on a Sunday?
It was a Saturday.
Is it your experience that all 30 churches, or most of them, have weddings on Saturdays?
Usually, yes, ma'am.
Booked a lot in advance, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you want to try to explain to me your theory of how they arrived at your church to pick you up at your wedding on the 26th of October, just at the time that you and your wedding party were leaving the church. Explain that to me.
Well, it started about a month and a half prior to my wedding. I was calling around numerous places to get prices on limos. I contacted Elite Limousine at the time of contact over the telephone. I spoke with a lady and I told her I needed a limousine for my wedding. She asked me to give her the specifics, where the church was, what time my wedding was, how long I would need the limo and so forth, and that she would put the man on the phone with me that would take the information down for me.
Go ahead.
Okay, once he got on the phone, I gave him the specifics as far as date, where the wedding was going to be held, the times I needed the service, and at that time he told me that it would be $795 and that it required a $150 deposit. I told him at that time on the phone that I was not prepared to pay the deposit because I'd like to speak with my fiance. He told me that would be fine. What he would do is keep the information I'd given him, and I had until 5 o'clock that day to call him back with a $150 deposit, and if I did not call back, it would cancel out and the reservation would not be held up. So I spoke with my husband. We decided not to do it, and because he told me I didn't have to call back, if I didn't pay the deposit it would cancel, I never called back. The day of my wedding, I walk out of the church and there's a limo there.
No, now stop a second. That's how they got to your wedding, according to you.
Yes, ma'am.
How many people were in your wedding party that ultimately used the limousine?
There were 3 bridesmaids, 3 groomsmen, 2 flower girls, a ring bearer, and my husband and I, and 2 ushers.
How did you all get to the church?
We drove our own personal vehicles, and prior to the wedding, we had all decided that we would follow each other to the reception. That was our intentions after the wedding, to carpool to the reception.
So you gave up the idea of hiring a limousine?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
So after my wedding, we walk out of the church, the limo's there, everybody's amazed, and I've got a videotape showing the actual footage where we're walking out of the church. As we walked up to the limo driver had the door open and he was standing there, and I said, "What is the limo for?" And he said, "Are you Sherry Armstrong?" And I said, "Yes, I am." And he said, "If you're Sherry Armstrong, this limo's for you." And I said, "Wait a minute." I said, I don't understand. I didn't rent a limo." He says, "If you're Sherry Armstrong, it's paid in full, everything's taken care of."
Okay.
So we got
That's
in
it.
the limo.
Got in and you went. And that's how it happened. So you thought it was a gift from somebody. Now I'll hear your side, Miss Williams.
Well, I think it was late evening in August. Miss Armstrong called. When I answer the phone, I always give people rates of each vehicle that we have.
Well, she says that nobody gave her the rates.
First
And
thing
then-
we do anytime we answer the phone.
Do you remember her call specifically?
I do.
Well, then I want you to
Actually-
tell me her call specifically, if you remember.
I do. My husband took her call.
Okay, then if this is your husband, so let me hear you.
Yes, ma'am, I did. She called, and she was a very nice lady, and she had some unusual requests. She told me that she was on a budget. We understand that. She initially booked a Navigator. We have a Navigator SUV Super Stretch. So I told her to help her out. I would do what we call a split run, which we don't normally do, but the Greer, the church that she was at, is a well-known church in our community. Our shop is also located in Greer. So usually...
Don't tell me usually.
Okay.
She says, and it sounds logical to me, that if you were going to hold this date of October 26th, that would have required a deposit. What she says has a ring of truth to it, that she was told that you'll hold the date for her till the end of the day, then you're going to need a deposit to hold the date permanently and to show up at the wedding.
No, ma'am. She told me she would like to book the vehicle. A deposit is customary, but it's not something we do all the time. Yes, ma'am. And the reason I waived the deposit in this case is she said she didn't have a credit card. She would pay cash the day of the service. She did book the car. She gave me the information where to pick her up at the church. She said she was going to the city club, from the city club wherever, which was after their, their reception. And the reason I gave her a flat rate is because we did do a split, and she wanted to be picked up back at 4 o'clock from 4 to 8. The reason I waived the deposit is because I did have all her information, and I had her work phone number, and I had the church. So I had no reason to believe that it was a call that would be somebody, playing a joke or anything.
I'd like to see the contract that you say she signed.
This is the contract. That was the total amount, and I'll explain that to Judge.
I just want to see her signature and tell me when you sent her the contract. Well, this was signed on the day of the wedding.
Yes, ma'am. We send the contract with the drivers unless they request it in advance, and then we faxed it to them. But since it was not requested, we always send it's considered a trip sheet. Each driver has that with them.
Tell me about this contract.
Okay. That contract was explained to me as a damage waiver. 5 hours into I'd already been to my reception. The limo picked me up at 4 o'clock, like he was supposed to. At 4 o'clock, we went to the church. We cleaned the church up. We left the church, and we were at a gas station 5 hours into the reception. The limo driver comes up to me. That was on a clipboard. He said, "Miss Armstrong, I apologize. I'm a new employee." He said, "This should have been signed prior to you getting in the limo at the church." He said, "All this is a damage waiver stating that if you have broken glass, any damages to the limo, you will be responsible for it." And I said, "That's all it is?" He goes, "Yes, ma'am, it is." And then he made a joke, and he says, "Your first official signature is Mrs. Armstrong."
Well,
I signed it, he walked away, and that was it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You and your husband got in the car, 1, 2, 3, snap, snap, snap. If you think that's a gift, you come out of the church, you stop, you say, "My God, what is this? My goodness gracious me, where did this come from?"
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Deborah and Gregory Williams claim they've yet to be paid for a limousine rented for Sherry Armstrong's wedding. Sherry denies ordering the limo.
Okay, Mr. Williams, you have your driver here?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see your driver.
I'm Gene Thompson, Your Honor.
Did you make a mistake, Mr. Thompson, that day?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Williams, did you make a mistake, sir?
No, ma'am.
I'm not so sure. I mean, I've dealt with limousine services before, and it's not usually handled this way.
Well, it's a judgment call for us waiving the deposit.
It's not a judgment call, Mr. Williams. It's business. If you told me that you knew this lady, that she came as a reference, that she came through a relative, that you knew her at all, and you decided that you were going to waive the deposit and hold the date anyway, maybe I could understand that. But someone who's calling you from the yellow pages that you don't know from a hole in the wall, you don't waive the deposit and hold that date and hold your Suburban. What if somebody else calls you and then she decides at the last minute that she's not going to use your service?
Ms. Williams can answer that. She did call back and she reconfirmed the date.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Tell
ma'am.
me about that.
About a week prior to the event, I got a call. I would assume it was Miss Armstrong. She did not say she was. She was calling to check to be sure that her limo was confirmed. And she spoke about the number of people that would be in there. I said the limit in the Navigator is 15 people. She asked if more people could get in there. I said, "No, ma'am, that's the capacity. We have a larger vehicle."
I never called back. I did ask them about the capacity, the first call I made about a month and a half prior to my wedding. I never called them, nor did I go down there or pay any type of deposit.
I didn't ask you about going down there, paying any kind of deposit.
I
asked you about a telephone call.
I called one time, and it's a month and a half prior to my wedding, and that's it.
How many other limousine companies did you call?
Probably, I would say at least 8.
Who was the cheapest?
They were, actually.
Then what changed your mind about having a limousine pick you up at the wedding?
My fiance and I talked about it, and we just decided for $800 it just wasn't worth it, so we decided not to do it. And
I'd like to see your video.
Okay. This is right after our pictures were taken in the church. We were coming out.
I'm watching you. Whose car is the black car? Is the dark car right over there?
The black car there, I'm not sure. That must be a guest.
And it was as you were coming out there that you saw the limousine?
Yes, ma'am.
I don't believe you. I don't believe you. I have to make a judgment. They say that you called and reserved this limousine. You say you did not. You thought it was a gift. That is not what happens when you think that that's a gift. If you think that's a gift, what you say is you stop. You come out of the church, you stop, you say, my God, what is this? You turn around to the person driving the car and you say, my goodness gracious, put your hand down. My goodness gracious me, where did this come from? I didn't order this. This must be some mistake. You and your husband got in the car, 1, 2, 3, snap, 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 took a picture. I didn't see anything that says, where did this come from? This must be some gift. $795 judgment for the plaintiff. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
They made the reservations. They knew it wasn't paid for.
I never signed a contract.
She said she'd take care of everything at the end of the evening. At the end of the evening, they were very intoxicated.
The limo driver told us repeatedly that it was paid for.
They were getting unruly.
I just feel like I'm not responsible.
I told them, go ahead and just let them out. I would handle it in the morning.
We assumed, which we shouldn't have, that the limo had been taken care of by a family member or someone else in the party.
They had 3 hours before the reception, before the driver came back to find out who had rented the limousine.
We had no idea.
School teacher Sherry King is suing her ex-boyfriend, bartender Keith Collier, for damage to her car and a series of unpaid loans.
Order. All rise. Your Honor, this is case number 363 on the calendar in the matter of King versus Collier. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Miss King, according to what I've read, the defendant was your former boyfriend. First, you say about a little more than a year ago, he had an accident with your car, which you paid for, which he said he would take care of. Then you claim to have expended a certain amount of money for remodeling of a condo that he had purchased, also with the agreement that he would pay you back. When you broke up, somehow you got him to sign a promissory note for all this money, or I think $3,200. Mr. Collier says the following. He said that you caused the accident to the car yourself, that he never borrowed any money from you, that the remodeling that you did to the condo, which had belonged to his uncle, was your own choice. The only reason he says that he signed this promissory note was that you were holding some money of his that you had gotten your hands on. You told him you wouldn't give him the money unless he signed the note. So he signed the note under duress. That's your defense.
Yes, Your Honor.
When was this accident with the car?
It was back in July of 2001.
And tell me about the accident with the car.
We were leaving a parking garage in Ybor City, and we were looking for the ticket that you give the attendant whenever you leave, and we couldn't find it, and we had pulled in already, so he went to back up, and as he backed up, he tore the whole bumper off the front of the car.
So it's the bumper that you're talking about?
Correct.
You remember that, sir?
Yes, Your Honor. I don't remember it that way, though.
Who was driving?
I was driving.
Okay. So do you have insurance?
Yes.
So did the insurance cover the damage?
No, my deductible was $500, and it only cost $335.
Okay. Did you agree to pay that?
I never agreed to pay that, Your Honor.
So give me your version of the events. You are driving, the bumper comes off the car. How did the bumper come off the car?
I actually wasn't driving. We had gone to the
You
parking...
just told me you were driving.
Oh, I was in the driver's seat. We had just backed out of the parking garage spot that I was in, that she had parked in.
Yeah.
And the angle that I pulled back, that, you know, having no idea how she had left the wheel cocked, it caught on the edge of the wall and it ripped her bumper off.
The wall didn't move, sir. The car moved.
I agree, Your Honor.
Good. Okay. So that's $335. Did you ever say that you would pay to have that bumper repaired?
No, Your Honor. The reason I agreed or told her I wouldn't pay her back for that is the fact
Would
that...
or would not?
Would not. Is because she was drunk. Too drunk to drive, asked me to drive, handed me the keys, and that's the only reason I was driving. I was trying to do her a favor.
Is it true that you gave him the keys to the car because you had been drinking?
Yes.
Okay, fine. Don't drink. What's next?
I had loaned him, actually first he started living with me and he agreed that he would pay a third of the rent and a third of the utility bills.
For how many months?
Just for 1 month.
And what's the rent?
It was $800 and we divided it and he would have paid $266 for the rent and it was $74 for a third of the utility bills. And he also borrowed money to pay his car payments and he borrowed money to pay his cell phone bill.
What was his car payment?
I don't have that written down exactly.
$158.73, Your Honor.
And I paid it quite a few times. And I probably have paid it more times than I had even...
I can't keep track of that. What kind of a way is that to have a loan, madam?
Because I was dating him and that's things that you do.
And then finally, we have the stuff for the apartment. Let's hear about the stuff for the apartment.
It was for a condo that his uncle owned, and we had agreed that he would move in. I was still living with my roommate, so I couldn't move out at the time. And I said that we agreed that whenever time came that my lease would be up, that I would buy the place from his uncle, and that's why I would do the remodeling, and that he would also pay for that.
That you would buy the place from his uncle?
Mm-hmm.
You?
Yes, later.
You, not the two of you, you would buy the place for his uncle, so you were going to remodel it for when you bought it?
Correct.
Had you discussed that with his uncle?
No.
Just with him?
Just with him.
Well, what made you think his uncle wanted to sell it?
He discussed him buying it from his uncle.
He owner leased it to me, Your Honor. So he was selling it to me.
And you discussed selling it to her?
Yeah, yes, Your Honor, yes.
And that's why she decided to remodel it. Is that right?
Correct, Your Honor.
And then you decided not to sell it to her. Is that right?
No, she left, Your Honor.
Or she left. Whatever. Listen, I'm telling you this, Miss King. I'm unimpressed with all of these loans that you claim. Without a promissory note, the one that you say you have,
yes, I do, Your
you
Honor.
wouldn't get any money. I'm going to tell you why. Because if you remodel this place in anticipation of you purchasing it, so you were really remodeling it for yourself, there was no loan to him of that money. You remodeled it because you were going to live there. That was your foolishness. You don't remodel a place until the title of it is in your name.
Correct.
You want to do it fast? You do it fast. That's your problem. So now I'm going to take a look at the promissory note. Okay, so I have a promissory note for $3,200, sir, that you signed.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, let me hear the circumstances surrounding you signing this promissory note.
She left on the 4th, and when she left, she had some cash in my
4th of?
March. When she did so, she didn't realize, I think, that she had some cash with her that I needed for my mortgage payment due on the 7th.
Mortgage for what?
To my uncle.
You mean your rent?
Well, he's taking it off the principal, so he's holding the note for me. But the mortgage payment was due on the 7th, and on the 4th she left with my cash. I couldn't raise the $350.
How did she get your cash?
I was having her hold it for me. I think we were going to deposit in the bank.
But you speak slowly, sir. I can't follow you. I'm old.
Yes, Your Honor. She had my cash with her because she was holding it for me so that I would not spend it.
How much cash was she holding?
$350.
Okay, go ahead.
And on the 8th, a day after my mortgage was late, she agreed to go ahead and give me the cash, but only if I would sign the promissory note. Since I know their means of getting the cash that quickly, I went ahead and signed the note.
Did you have his money?
Yes, Your Honor. He had been staying at my place and left it.
And so you took the money and said you want your money back? Is that right?
Well, it was in my...
No, you want your money back? You're going to sign this note?
Correct, Your Honor.
Is that what happened?
Yes.
Okay. That's duress. You can't do that.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And later today...
She wanted you to get out of the car?
Yes, that way she could fight me. She grabbed my windshield wiper. She smashed it because she was really mad and broke it. And then with her both fists, she was really pissed, boom, then my car.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Sherry King says her ex-boyfriend, Keith Collier, owes for damage to her car and unpaid loans. Keith says he owes her nothing.
As I said to you before, Miss King, but for the promissory note, I would find that there was never a loan made. With regard to the automobile, you were drunk, which is the reason he drove. He's backing out of a spot, not purposefully.
He wasn't backing out of a spot. He was backing out of the actual toll booth that he had pulled into. I did not pull into there, Your Honor.
Whatever it was. But for the fact that the two of you had broken up, there's not a question in my mind that we would not be here over this bumper damage to the car. When you drive a car, you drive someplace, you go out, you're not supposed to get drunk so you can't drive at home. Okay? I don't know how much he had been drinking that evening, whether he had been drinking more than you or less than you. I assume that he had been drinking some too, which means that you're both stupid. Then we come to the bills. Bills that you say, well, he said he would pay me some rent, and then I paid for his car payment. I paid a lot of times. I paid his car payment more than once. I'm not sure about how many times. I don't get involved with that. This is a court. You're supposed to say, on September 1st, 1999, I paid a car payment. On September 16th, the year 2000, I made a car payment for him. I have that all written down here. This is his car payment. He asked me to please advance it, and if I would, he would pay me back in a month. That's not what this is all about. This is about a boyfriend and girlfriend situation where you give him money. I don't know whether he ever gave you money.
No, Your Honor.
Probably not. Well, that means that you're not too... Right? The only thing that you thought that you did that was clever was having him do the promissory note for all this money that you thought he owed you. The only problem is you forced him to sign it. You were withholding his property. And if you withheld his property and said, unless you sign this note, I'm not going to give you the property, that is duress. So you get zippo, nada, nothing. Your case is dismissed. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Just hopefully no one will ever have to deal with him the way I had to deal with him.
I'm glad to see that justice was served.
Because he's a loser and he will scam anyone out of anything.
I feel bad that Ms. King feels like she was ripped off and misled by me.
Every week he would say that he would pay me the money, and then he would say, oh, I spent it on this or I spent it on that, and never came through with it.
I'm sorry that I had to come to a court battle. She could have settled it outside very easily.
Don't give money to anyone unless you have anything signed, and don't deal with idiot con artists like that.
Worked out pretty well for me, didn't it?
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Monroe versus Paul. Step forward, please.
21-year-old construction worker Edward Monroe is suing 21-year-old student T.J. Paul for the cost to fix his truck. Edward says while attending a party on T.J.'s property, the vehicle was destroyed by fellow partygoers.
Mr. Monroe, it is your claim that the defendant is responsible for your truck having been destroyed.
Yes, ma'am.
It is not your claim that necessarily he did it.
Right.
But that your truck was destroyed on his property and therefore he should be responsible. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
What I gather is on his property that day and evening was a free-for-all, drunken, underage drinking party for about 300 people. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you went there to drink, cavort, party with these 300 people. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And it was there that your car got trashed.
Yes, ma'am.
Had you ever been to a party there before?
Yes, ma'am.
So you knew what to expect when you went? No, you knew what to expect.
Right.
Numbers-wise and people drinking. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
I want you to tell me about it. Tell me about the party.
All right. When
Tell me when you got there, how many people were there. Just tell me all about it.
Other than the person that was holding the party and one other person, I was the second or third person there.
Did you provide your own liquor?
Yes, ma'am.
How much liquor did you come with?
I've come with probably a fifth and a 12-pack of beer.
The other people, when they came, did they also bring their own liquor?
I believe so.
And by about 11 o'clock at night, how many people were there?
100, 200, at least. It was
maybe
the biggest party I've been to that he's had.
Had you finished your 12-pack of beer?
No, but I had finished my bottle, though.
The whole bottle?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, what about the catering? Was there catering? Food?
No, ma'am, there wasn't no food.
No chips or anything else? Chips and dips?
Just alcohol.
Just alcohol. So the idea of this whole party was everyone should get trashed, right?
Pretty much, yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see pictures of your truck.
All right.
Why is that shoe on the table?
There's pictures in there of footprints, and that's the shoes I was wearing that night. Just to let the record clear that that wasn't my footprints on the truck.
Huh? Oh, it looks like your truck got pretty well trashed.
Yes, ma'am.
Look at that. You're not going to go there for any more parties, are you?
No, ma'am. I haven't been to no party since then.
That's a good idea. You have no way to get there. Would you get that shoe off there? I'm not interested.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, and I see they built bonfires?
There was a fire. Yes, ma'am.
Did you help build the fire?
It was already going when I got there.
Did you help stoke the fire?
No, ma'am.
What did you do with the fire?
I stood around it.
Did you dance around the fire?
I didn't dance around it, but I stood around it.
Mr. Paul, why do you have these parties on your property, sir?
I guess I was just trying to have a place where everyone could go and have a good time and not have to worry about getting caught or getting in trouble. It was out of the way. It was in the woods. And
is that your property?
It's my father's property.
Where's your father?
He was at home. He didn't come to the party. He didn't know about it.
He didn't know about it?
No. He does know that I have had parties out there. He just doesn't know when I have them.
Do you know that if somebody gets hurt on your property where you're having one of these parties, if your father knows about it, He could be held responsible for their injuries. Did you know that?
Yes, ma'am.
So why do you put your father at risk?
Well, I had to learn the hard way after all of this.
Have you had any parties since?
No.
That's a really good idea. But Mr. Monroe, you went to the party there voluntarily. To drink? To get drunk?
Yes, ma'am.
Your truck got destroyed. What do you want from him? He didn't do it.
Well, it was his property.
You didn't have to go there. Nobody dragged you there.
No, but he knew I was there. I was one of the
You
first
knew you
people
were there too.
Right. Yeah.
Unless you were so drunk. By the way, how did you plan on getting home?
I didn't. There's pictures, sleeping bags. I was going to stay the night. I was sleeping in my truck, so I didn't have to drive.
That's at least that was using common sense.
Yeah, nobody needs a DUI.
Right. Nobody needs a burned-out truck either.
That's
but if
correct.
you go to a party with 300 people who are all drinking and getting drunk, you got to know that the potential is there to cause trouble. So why is he more responsible than you are? He's not. Not in my eyes. If you're stupid enough to go to a 300-plus person drunken free-for-all and bring your truck, you stand the risk of somebody damaging your truck. And if you want to do it, don't look for somebody else to be responsible. Be responsible yourself. Goodbye, Mr. Monroe.
All right.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Well, basically, the judge did all the work for me.
Maybe I should ride with somebody else to a party.
And as a matter of fact, he was the one that beat up his own truck.
I might have been jumping on the hood, but I didn't bust all the windows and I didn't catch it on fire.
I witnessed him jumping on the hood, kicking in the windshield, jumping on the roof.
It's my truck. If I want to jump on the hood, that's fine, but I ain't going to bust the windows out.
He's drunk, I guess.
Everybody there was kind of drunk.
Drunk and in a rage.
He's property owner. I figured he was responsible for it.
This is definitely the first, and it will definitely be the last time.
T. John's just messing with you, buddy.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of DeCuckoo versus Carr. Step forward, please.
19-year-old spa attendant Teresa DeCuckoo is suing her ex-roommate, 20-year-old spa attendant Carol Carr, for breaking a lease. Carol says she gave proper notice.
According to your complaint, Mr. Cuckoo, you and the defendant leased an apartment together. You've been friends for a long time. You thought it would work out. After a couple of months, the defendant moved out.
That's correct, Your Honor.
And you want her to be responsible for her half of the rent for the remainder of the lease so that it doesn't destroy your credit.
That's correct.
Defendant said she thought she was being more than fair. She had to move out. And she says you should get another roommate. When did you sign this lease?
July 14th, 2002.
What was the rent?
The rent was $925. $512.50 was her responsibility.
Are you still there?
No, I'm not.
You're not?
No,
What
I'm not.
happened?
I moved back in with my mother.
When?
At the end of October.
Did they re-rent the apartment?
I am not sure, Your Honor.
Well, have you gotten any notifications from the landlord with regard to rent that the landlord
Yes,
claims
I
you
do.
owe? Let me see.
This is my 30-day notice to vacate the apartment.
I'm talking about after you left.
After I left?
Because according to the defendant paid the rent, gave you a check for rent for September. She moved out September 1st, but she gave you her share of September's rent. Is that correct?
Yes, that
And you
is.
don't dispute that, is that right?
No, I don't.
Okay. And you moved out the end of October. So
Yes.
we have October's rent,
Right.
right? Which, based upon what you tell me, is $512.50 would be her share of October's rent up until the time you moved out, and you're suing her for $2,800.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay, so you're going to have to explain that to me.
Yes. Right. These are the payments I made, and because it's for the lease break and everything. That's right when I moved out. That was the payment agreement from the landlord.
The fees that she was charged to break the lease were $1,836, Ms. Carr.
Yes.
Half of $1,836 is $918. I want you to explain to me why you should not be responsible for $918.
Okay, I gave my 30 days notice like required in the lease contract.
Your
If I
Honor,
needed
that
to
isn't
move
true.
out.
I don't want to hear you unless I come back and look at you. Do you understand?
Yes.
So
No. Pay careful attention to me.
Mm-hmm.
You show me your lease, which says that if you give them 30 days notice, you're allowed to break your lease with no consequence by giving them 30 days notice.
I have where it says the 30 days notice section right here.
What does it say? Read it.
Full term unless owner consents in writing, residence agrees not to move out of the apartment prior to the end of the lease term or renewal of the extension period without the rentals of the entire lease term or renewal or extension period being
Ms. Carr,
paid in
you know
full.
what that means? It means that if the owner agrees, the owner, did the owner agree that you move out?
I gave them my written notice. They didn't argue with me.
Ms. Carr, you don't get it. A lease means that if you pay your rent and are a good tenant, the landlord can't throw you out for 12 months. And it means that you are responsible for the rent for 12 months. Just if you decide in the middle of the lease that you don't want to live there anymore, you just can't give them 30 days notice and move out.
Well, I had a bad car accident
That's
at
not
the
her
beginning
problem.
of the month, and that's why.
That's not her problem. That's your problem.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You have to be a grown-up. Your first responsibility was you signed a lease with somebody else. Somebody else that could not afford the apartment by themselves. So if it's a toss-up between you putting money towards a new car and moving back with your parents so that you can pay for the car and living up to your pre-existing responsibility, you have to live up to your pre-existing responsibility. That's a grown-up. You do, however, have to accept your part of the responsibility, which is you had a roommate. It didn't work out. She moved out for whatever reason. You couldn't live there by yourself. It's a very good lesson. You don't take an apartment with a roommate for more rent than you can pay by yourself. The whole thing. Because otherwise you have to move out and you have these fees. She's not going to pay the whole fee, only half. Do you understand?
I actually have other expenses that has incurred while she was there.
Like what?
I have a copy of a couple of utility bills that she refused to pay for.
Can I say a comment about that? Actually, I paid half of the cable and the power. She never gave me a copy of the phone bill. Claimed I could get it at Sprint.com, but without any account number, I can't access
Is this
that.
a phone bill?
It's a phone bill and a power bill, Your Honor.
Is this 10346?
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, is that for September?
That's for 3 months total.
Up through September 25th?
Yes.
Sprint bill, power bill was $38.75, and that was date to next meter reading October 16th, so that was through September. No. She's not responsible for the power bill. $969. Ladies, it's too bad your friendship is over.
Your Honor, I have one more thing.
Which is?
I did try to contact her,
Which
and
is
she
what?
refused to sign. She refused.
Well, she was
contact.
harassing.
Just a minute. What do you want?
She was harassing me.
I didn't. I'm not looking at you. So?
She had refused a letter I sent to her house.
So what?
Saying her statements.
So what? What does that have to do with what I'm talking about now?
Nothing.
Good.
But, excuse me, I also have one more thing.
What?
My moving costs that I had to vacate the apartment with.
That's your problem. Your moving costs are your problem. Sometimes when you take a roommate and things don't work out, you have to move. You think that she's going to pay your moving expenses?
At least half.
Get a roommate. I said you don't have to. You shouldn't be forced to get a roommate if you don't want to, but because you chose not to get another roommate or try to get another roommate and chose to move out, you incurred certain expenses. She's responsible for half of your break lease expenses because she did in fact break the lease. So did you. $969 is what she owes you. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused.
I feel that she should have owed me more since she just decided to walk out, especially the day after my birthday.
She just went crazy and, irrational behaviors, so.
At least I had a legal job, unlike her, who ended up on the internet doing stripping jobs.
She was harassing me at my house, my work, calling me and my mom at all hours of the day and night.
No. Why would I want to stalk her anyway?
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Kruger versus Estes. Step forward, please.
21-year-old student Abby Kruger is suing her former roommate, 19-year-old bartender Michael Estes, for unpaid rent. Michael says he stopped paying because he didn't like her taste in decorating.
Miss Kruger, your family owns a house. And you are in charge of renting the rooms in that house. It's a college community?
Right.
You rented a room to the defendant, and it is your claim that he owes you for 2 months' rent, $600. Now, I've read Mr. Estes' answer, and he acknowledges that he didn't pay the rent, right?
Right.
He says he didn't like your decorating. And he told you that if you continued to paint the house in colors he didn't like, he wasn't going to pay the rent. Isn't that what you told me in here? I just wanted to make sure that that's what you said.
Yeah. She didn't let me have a say in anything in the house at all.
Since when are men in charge of decorating? Since when are men in charge of decorating? You can decorate your closet, that's it. And that's if it's your house. If it's not your house, you can even decorate your closet. Mr. Estes, how old are you, sir?
19.
You go to college?
No, I took a semester off.
Are you planning on going back to school?
Yes.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
A police officer.
That's a legitimate career. I'm curious because I thought perhaps you wanted to go into interior design.
No.
Clearly not. Now, I want you, Mr. Estes, to convince me why I should, or she should, forgive the $600 rent that you owe her because you didn't like the colors that she painted the house, okay? It's all yours, sir.
I moved in August, and then she moved in around the end of August, I think. And then both the guys moved out, and then we were getting along, and then she kept decorating the house, and I said, you know, I want to have a say in this house too, and she wouldn't let me have a say ever in the house.
Like what? Give me an example.
Like, she would paint this side of the wall red and, like, this side of the wall red, and then both these sides would be white. She'd paint, like, the kitchen like a yellow and blue color. She'd paint the hallways and paint, like, all over the house all kinds of different colors, and I didn't like it.
What
and
color do you like?
It was white. White was fine to me.
You like plain white. You don't like color. You like it plain, nice, plain, clean white.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Bird and I are fascinated.
And that's about it. I just told her, you know, I'm not going to pay rent if I never have to stay in the house, and she was just like, whatever, you know.
You're talking about a say in the house. You're talking about the color. I mean, I want to know if there's anything else other than the color. She painted 2 walls.
Just the way that she decorated the house, it was like all like girl house, and I couldn't put anything up at all.
Explain that to me. Other than the color, what else did she decorate?
Just she'd put like candles up and all these weird lamps and pictures. It was just...
Pictures or pictures?
Pictures.
Pictures that you pour from, or pictures on the wall?
Pictures on the wall.
Pictures. What kind of pictures did she put up?
I don't know. They're just like artist kind of pictures. I don't know what it really was.
Shh! Please. Mr. Rest, this is very serious. Who are you?
I'm his girlfriend.
Please don't move. I didn't ask you to stand up. I just wanted to know whether you were just fixing your hair or raising your hand.
I just have something to say.
Either way, stop it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Mr. Estes, your defense is the most ridiculous defense that I've heard in a very long time. Most ridiculous. If you want white walls, you take an apartment where you live all by yourself with your girlfriend, and you have white walls. This is not your house. You are merely a boarder in one room. It was her house. You have a room. You are entitled to decorate your room. If you and this girlfriend of yours get together and get married, I guarantee you're going to have more than white walls. And you know what you're going to say when she comes home and she's painted the hallway yellow? You know what you're going to say? Yes, dear. That's what you're going to say, because you're going to be out there protecting the peace and security of your neighborhood in your chosen profession. And since white walls are the walls that appeal to you, and no pictures on the walls appeal to you, I can't say that you had a different decorating taste than she did, because you had no taste. So you pay her the $600. Mr. Estes, you're supposed to do the right thing. You want to be a police officer? Police officers have good character. They have a good moral compass. They know right from wrong. You lived in the house. You lived in the house for 2 months. The rent was $300 a month. You didn't pay the rent, and then you came up with a lot of baloney excuses. That's not what a moral person does. And you've chosen a profession that requires that kind of moral compass. Do I make myself clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I have nothing much to say. I think it was a poor decision.
I just tried to make the house nicer. I didn't know he had a problem with it.
I think I should have a say in the house.
I
allowed him to choose the colors in the basement, so.
I feel that if I'm going to pay rent there, I should have a say in it.
Case number 3096, Corcoran versus Curry. All parties, please step forward.
Christopher Corcoran is suing his former employee, Joshua Curry, for unpaid legal fees.
Mr. Corcoran, the case is relatively simple and straightforward. It is your claim that the defendant owes you for legal fees that you paid on his behalf.
Yes, Your Honor.
And Mr. Curry says that there was never an agreement to pay you anything, and you paid legal fees for him for a criminal matter because he was such a valued employee that without him, your business couldn't function.
That's very true, Your Honor.
Okay, so that's relatively easy. How long did you work for Mr. Corcoran, Mr. Curry? From when to when?
For August of 2020 until September of 2023.
And how much did you earn?
200 to 300, depending on how long it was.
So you want to tell me when you got into some legal trouble?
It was July 5th morning, about 4 o'clock in the morning. I had heard some news from one of my friends passing away from a motorcycle wreck, and I was just a little emotional. Went on a motorcycle ride myself, and the police tried to pull me over, which I made a bad decision and didn't pull over.
Well, let's go back a second. I just want to make sure I'm hearing it right. You got some very bad news that a friend of yours had been killed in a motorcycle accident.
Yeah.
And you were very upset about it.
Well, emotional, yes, yes.
You were upset about it, hadn't been drinking.
Nope.
No drugs.
Nope.
So at 4 o'clock in the morning, you decided to go on a motorcycle ride.
Yep.
Where did you take your motorcycle for a ride?
I was just going for a ride through Marymount.
And is that a big town or a little town?
It's a small little town outside Cincinnati.
And the police must see you because you're going to tell me what happened when the police tried to pull you over.
Well, there was like a medium from one direction to the other from the way the cop was coming. I wasn't speeding. I wasn't doing anything illegal. They busted you. He came up behind me and was trying to pull me over for what I thought for no reason.
So the police were trying to pull you over while you were riding your motorcycle?
Yes, ma'am.
And then what happened?
Emotions got the best of me. I flipped the bird and just took off.
Okay. You have a copy of your check?
No, I paid cash.
This doesn't do it for me, sir. Show me where you took $6,000 from.
Out of my safe. I mean, I keep a lot of cash on hand at the house.
You know, I'm not believing you, sir.
Christopher Corcoran claims his former employee, Joshua Curry, owes for attorney fees he loaned to Joshua.
So you made a middle finger gesture
Yes, ma'am.
and took off on your motorcycle.
That's right.
How fast did you take off?
I probably hit 100 miles an hour at some point.
So now you're driving 100 miles an hour through this small town in Ohio. Police try to pull you over. High-speed chase. They finally got you to pull over.
Yes, ma'am.
And they arrested you.
Well, they impounded my bike, and they actually took me home once they realized that I didn't do anything wrong.
Don't tell me what they realized. You can't tell me what they realized. They impounded your bike.
Yes, and they drove me home and gave me failure to comply.
So they gave you a ticket.
Well, it's a ticket, which was a misdemeanor ticket, yes.
Were you originally charged with a misdemeanor or with a felony?
I think it was a misdemeanor. It was a misdemeanor.
Let me see what you're looking at. Okay, so at some point you got in touch with your boss.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me when that was.
Probably later on that evening, that day. And I told him I was in trouble. Yeah.
And at that point, did you ask him to do anything for you?
Not at that point, no.
At what point?
I don't really remember. It was just more or less like, we're going to handle this. You know, we'll make sure everything's okay kind of conversations.
Okay. Now I'm going to come to you, Mr. Corcoran. First of all, you have a business that is what?
It's a commercial construction. We had set up pallet racking and warehouse.
When did you start the business?
2008.
Is the business still ongoing?
Yes.
And it's still ongoing, so you've managed to keep your business even after this valued employee is gone.
Yes, Your Honor.
So I have to tell you something, Mr. Curry. The only time that you become indispensable is when the show has your name on it. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Other than that, everybody can be replaced. I say that because your defense is, because what Mr. Corcoran did is he contacted a lawyer on your behalf, and that's the money he wants. And your position was you never asked him for it, you just did it. Okay, so you tell me about the conversation that you had with Mr. Corcoran when he called the next day.
He called me, told me that, pretty much verbatim.
Exactly what he told me.
He went to court. He called me after court. He said, I don't know what to do. He said, they told me to come back with an attorney.
So now he's going back and he said to you, this is bad. I have to go back to court. They told me to come back with a lawyer. Did you tell him that?
Well, yeah.
And you said to him?
I said, let me make a phone call. I'll get in touch with my attorney. He'll call you, get your side of it, and we'll go from there.
So you called your lawyer.
So I called my attorney. He called Mr. Curry. They spoke. He called me back. He says, Chris, this is bad. This is bad. He said he's going to do some time on this.
And then?
He said, he said he doesn't have any money, and he told me $6,000. So I told Mr. Curry, and he says, well, I don't have that. I said, well, I'll take it out of your check, and on we went.
Is that what he said to you?
Well, that's not really how I remember the conversation, but, it was a couple years ago.
I would like you to tell me how, Mr. Curry, you remember the conversation.
Well, I just remember him saying that, I have a friend that's a lawyer. We'll take care of this. We'll get it handled.
Well, Mr. Curry, what I'm asking you is, you're not related to him. You're not his brother. You're not his cousin. You're not his son-in-law. You're an employee. If you knew about the amount of money, $6,000, why in the world would you think that he was just going to cover that for you?
He brought it up to me after the fact that it was paid. I didn't have a chance to say yes or no to $6,000.
Well, you knew the lawyer wasn't working for nothing.
Well, I completely understand that. But I also thought the way that he would approach me was like, we're going to take care of this.
Okay. May I see the invoice from the attorney and a copy of your check? You have a copy of your check?
No, I paid cash.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, well,
Your Honor.
This doesn't do it for me, sir. Show me where you took $6,000 from.
Out of my safe. I keep a lot of cash on hand at the house.
Well, I'm not believing you, sir. I'm going to tell you I'm not believing you. Because there's no reason why you would pay a lawyer in cash. For somebody else, when the somebody else is expected to pay you back, so you have absolutely no proof that you paid anybody. You loaned somebody money to pay a lawyer. You pay that lawyer by check, and you have proof of it. There's a possibility that you did lay out some money for him, for a lawyer. I don't believe it was $6,000 because this is not a lawyer's invoice.
I can get him on the phone.
Oh, no, I'm absolutely positive that you can get somebody on the phone, sir. Unless I have proof that the amount of money that you laid out for Mr. Curry, I'm dismissing your case without prejudice. You go and plead it to somebody else. I don't buy it. We're done here.
This court is adjourned.
If you're making a loan to somebody, especially in a case like this where there was no family relation, like you said, no particular reason why the plaintiff would just out of the kindness of his heart step up and pay this bill, I would want a paper trail or 2 or 3 to ensure that they could not go back on their word to repay you for the loan that you so nicely laid out for them. And I found it almost as odd as you that he paid cash and didn't even have anything as far as a handwritten note that said, I paid this to the lawyer on this day, signed by someone. It doesn't even have to be official, but just pulling $6,000 out of your safe in cash, it's less than what we needed for his loan.
What's interesting, Sarah, is I actually think he got a lawyer to go in with him on what was a ticket.
Yeah.
But certainly no lawyer would say, oh, that's very serious. He's looking at serious jail. That's baloney. unless there was another charge there. But I don't see why a lawyer would demand $6,000 in cash. It doesn't make sense to me.
And if it doesn't make sense,
it's not true.
DeAndre Benton is suing his former roommate, Chauncey Rayford, for personal belongings, lost wages, and an assault.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 3119, Benton versus Rayford.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Benton, it is your claim that the defendant who rented a room in her home to you
Yes, ma'am.
assaulted you, disposed of your property,
Correct.
and because of all the turmoil, you missed time at work.
Yes, ma'am.
You want $7,500.
Yes.
That's what you're asking for. Defendant says that you assaulted her. She had lost wages. She had pain and suffering as a result of this assault, which I assume took place on the same day.
Yes.
Correct. Okay. How did you find the room in Miss Rayford's home?
It was on a roommate app, like Roomster, to be exact.
On what date did you find the ad?
June 15th,
And where was it located?
Atlanta, Georgia, 30311.
So that was in June. And you looked at the room?
Yes, ma'am.
And what was the rent?
It was negotiated to be $750.
$750 a month.
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of work were you doing then?
I was working fast food at the moment.
When did you move in?
July 15th.
July 15th.
15th, yes, ma'am.
And how much rent did you pay for the month of July?
This full amount, $750. I paid $250 to hold the room and $509 for the remaining balance.
In the month of August, tell me what rent you paid her and when.
I did give her.
Look at me. Be very careful with me. I want you to be very careful with me. How much rent did you give her in the month of August?
I didn't give her anything.
How much rent did you give her in September?
She wasn't there.
How much rent did you pay anyone in September?
I paid her a portion of the rent.
But what do you mean a portion of the rent? It was my understanding that you owned this home.
Yes, no, Your Honor, didn't that is correct.
Just a second.
She didn't own the home. To my knowledge, she wasn't even supposed to be renting out the home to have rooms.
Just a second. I'm just asking you, you're now living in somebody's house.
Mm-hmm.
And you agreed to pay $750 a month rent.
Mm-hmm.
Is a yes.
Yes.
And you paid no rent
Well,
for the month of August.
That was because when I did come into the home on the 31st, I moved in on the 15th like I communicated to you. On the 30th, my belongings was outside the home. I had to sleep outside like an animal.
Okay. What about in September? You were still in the home in September.
Yeah, I was still in the home in September
She
going
was
through
still
the same
in?
issue.
Just a second. You were still, you're not going to talk over me. You were still in the home in September.
Mm-hmm.
Not That's a yes.
Yes.
You were still in the home in September. And how much rent did you pay in September?
I paid her $500 in
Just a second. In September, you paid her $500.
Yes.
Okay. October.
Nothing was paid.
After that, you paid no rent.
No.
Okay. Where are you living now?
I live with a friend now.
That's a lie. That's a lie. We just checked.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I used
Well, just
to
a second.
before I moved.
Just a second. Stupid is not here, sir.
Pretty aware.
Stupid is not here. So now you're a squatter in a place where you're paying no rent and you live with him?
No, ma'am. I have my own place.
Oh, good. Because he doesn't live with you. He's living in a place where he doesn't pay rent. He moved in and stopped paying.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not finished with you either. Do you understand?
Yes, I understand what you're saying.
Very good. So if you understand,
there's
you
two
weren't
factors.
living outside like an animal, and you've been living for August, September, October, November, December, January and February, 7 months in a place in which you pay no rent.
Well, can I ask a question? How am I supposed to pay rent when I had several eviction notices and she wasn't there to show up?
Then leave. Then leave.
I mean,
you're a
you saying
squatter.
leave, but
You are a squatter.
she told me I didn't
You're
have
a
to.
squatter. Well, if she told you that you don't have to, then the two of you are in collusion here.
I'm not talking about her, ma'am.
Who told you you didn't have to pay?
The judge, because I didn't say the judge didn't say I had to pay. The judge said I did not have to leave, that she didn't find a reason to eviction of me because she didn't show up and provide her evidence.
I'm just telling you, you're a squatter. You don't pay rent. Everybody else here pays a mortgage, pays a maintenance. You moved in and you became a squatter. And I don't care what some other nitwit said to you, you're a squatter. So you get 0 for the rent, for your property. I'll get to the assault in a minute. I read your answer. When did you purchase the house?
June 3rd,
June of what?
2021.
What was your mortgage?
The first year, from June, when I moved in 2021, it was $1,575 a month.
For the mortgage?
Correct. June of 2022, it increased by $40 and went to $1,615.
In what month did you stop paying the mortgage?
September of 2023.
Why?
DeAndre Benton claims his former roommate, Chauncey Rayford, threw away his property and assaulted him. Chauncey is countersuing for property damage and says she was the one assaulted.
Now, in what month did you stop paying the mortgage?
Well, to be completely honest with you...
Yeah, I don't want you to be dishonest with me. You have to be honest with me because I know everything.
Yes, ma'am. I got laid off. I was okay, just living off of savings for a few months. Things got hard.
Just a second, you got laid off from what job, where?
Carvana, and this was November of 2022.
All right, so you've already been laid off for a year, and you're telling me you paid your mortgage until September?
Yes, ma'am. I was doing anything I could from an app called InstaWork.
Okay, so then you stopped paying your mortgage in September?
Yes.
And when did they foreclose on your house?
October 23rd was the date that I was told that myself and DeAndre needed to be out of the
house. I
house.
just asked you a question. They foreclosed on the house in October?
Yes.
Where did you go?
I had to move back with my mother in the state of Missouri. I lost everything. My job, the home, my dog.
Okay, so now the bank owns the house?
Yes, correct.
And he's been squatting in the
there.
house since October?
Yes, he will not leave.
Get out of here. Now, I've listened to what you just said just about the ownership of the house and when she turned it back to the bank. You said in your brief questioning before that she didn't own the house. She was a renter.
Yeah, I wasn't supposed to be there in the first place, and she knew that. I wasn't even aware of that.
That's not just a second. If she owns the house, you can be there.
She doesn't own the house.
She doesn't own it anymore.
She never did.
Well, show me proof of that. Okay, that I'd like to see. Were you renting with an option to buy?
Yes, ma'am, with the option.
Ah, I got it now. He's absolutely right. You were not the owner of the house. You were a renter, and you had an option to buy.
Correct. And I was going to do so.
Judge, I shoulda, woulda, coulda. You two people actually deserve each other. Because what you suggest in your papers is that you ran into hard times and you let the bank take the house. Well, you didn't let the bank do anything because you didn't own the house. You were a renter and you stopped paying rent. Isn't that right?
That is correct.
Right. So, as far as I'm concerned, you both deserve each other. I don't know who you're not paying rent to. Somebody owns this house. And they've been probably trying to get you out of the house for a very, very long time.
The person that owned the home came to the home and said she was already far behind before I even moved in. That's the whole reason why
Who cares? What are you doing in a place where you're not paying rent? You're not supposed to be there. You're a squatter.
Do I look like a squatter?
You are one. You live in a place that's not yours. You're not paying rent. You're a squatter.
Yeah, for people that don't try to pay rent. At least I was trying to pay the rent. Every
Listen,
other time
I try to make a baby every once in a while, but I'm 81 years old. It doesn't happen. All right, I want to hear something about this assault that happened when you were both living in this place that belonged to somebody else, and neither one of you was paying rent.
She was paying.
Who are you?
I'm her witness.
Were you there when this assault took place?
Yes, I was.
Okay, then I'll hear you after I hear them. Now, what is the date of this alleged assault?
October 10th.
October 10th.
Yes, ma'am.
And you were still living there, not paying rent as of September and October. She was still living there.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me what happened.
So I came outside out of my room. She was already being aggressive about the non-paying rent. And I've already been trying to be communicative with her.
Not
I
true.
said, hey.
I don't want to hear you.
I'm not speaking, Your Honor.
Who is?
Me. I'm sorry.
Out.
Okay.
Then you're done. That way. Out.
Lord.
Go ahead.
Basically,
Now, I don't want to hear basically. I want to hear, to the best of your recollection, on October 10th, 2023, you were both in the house. You were in your room.
she got crazy. Basically, long story short, she got crazy. I tried to come inside the house and sit in a chair. The lady pulled the chair from me. I have the pictures and everything of it. Pulled the chair from me. Punched
Which
me.
lady?
This one right here.
Pulled the chair out from under you, tried to sit down.
Yes, ma'am.
And?
Pulled the chair out from me, punched me in the face, and I fell in the chair into the glass. She started picking up the glass and stabbing me with it.
And?
And I had to call the ambulance. The police came. It took 45 minutes.
May I see the police report, please? Did you ever speak to the police, Miss Rayford?
That day?
That day?
No, ma'am. I ended up leaving because...
Okay, just a second. Don't tell me because. The police have memorialized what they saw on the 10th, and they saw him with multiple wounds on his body. Some were bandaged and some not. You were not in the house. This person, I assume, is your girlfriend.
Correct.
Okay. So the two of you were in the house. After this incident took place, whatever the incident was, the two of you left.
That's correct.
He called the police.
I'm not sure what he did.
You didn't call the police.
No, I did not.
No. Now, so from you, I would like to see... When you left the house, ran out of the house with your girlfriend, I assume you went right to an emergency room or something as a result of the lacerations that you say you sustained as a result of this fight. So I'd like to see those records.
I did not go to seek emergency treatment because I didn't have any insurance. I just bandaged it up myself.
Well, where did you run to?
To go and get bandage.
And when did you come back to the house?
I did not. That was my last day.
So that was your last day. Okay.
That's a lie.
So now...
She did.
I would
come back
only
to the
return
house.
when he was not there to collect my things.
So you did... Just a second. So you did go back. I have a feeling I was right.
He would not be there when I would return. I have text messages of me asking my neighbor to let me know when he's not there as well. I have photos.
I'm going to look at both your photos, and then you're going to tell me your version of what happened.
Yes.
Because there's no question that he was injured, because the police memorialized that. I assume he has photographs as well. Now, I want you to tell me your version of what happened.
I was working from home. He was already up that morning, and he was the one being loud. He was sitting at my workstation, and I kept asking him politely to move so that I could go ahead and start working. He refused to move. He told me he had a right to sit wherever he wanted to in the home. Now, mind you, he's never...
Just a second. Did you pull the chair out from under him? I have a...
DeAndre Benton has accused his former roommate, Chauncey Rayford, of throwing away his belongings and assaulting him. Chauncey is countersuing, claiming DeAndre damaged property and assaulted her.
Okay. Did you pull the chair out from under him?
No, he was not sitting at it at that time. I was trying to move myself. He had walked outside the front door, and as he did that, I was trying to grab the chair, and he ran towards it and sat in it. And that's when the chair actually collided with the mirror, and the mirror broke at that point.
And then?
And then he proceeded to pick up pieces of glass, and I have the photos of my injury right here.
That's a lie.
I don't want to hear you.
He also damaged my work equipment. I had just started that job July 17th. Lost my job on Friday, October 13th, because he damaged my computer. I have a police report that I filed because...
I'd like to see it.
When I did return to the home, after, stitching myself up.
You didn't stitch yourself up.
I did go and get bandages.
You didn't stitch yourself up.
Well, okay. The wrong verbiage.
Yeah.
This is what I submitted
Just a second. I asked you for your police report.
Yes.
Period.
Okay.
Show it to me.
It's right here. This is what I have filed online. After communicating with my job, they told me in order for them to...
This is on the 12th. You said this happened on the 9th.
It did happen on the 9th, Your Honor. And what I did was I was in communication with my employer to see what they felt was best because...
What does she do for a living?
She was a shift manager.
She still work?
Yes, she works.
Well, why wasn't she paying rent?
We don't live together. She had her own place.
Interesting. Okay, you wanted to say something to me?
Yes, that's actually a lie. As far as me assaulting her, I never once touched this lady. I never once disrespected her. I never once raised a hand at her or tried to, like, physically harm her. She was very aggressive, very disrespectful.
That's not true.
Okay, can I see your photographs, please? Can I see her photographs, please?
Marvius was also injured. That's my arm and her toe.
These are the injuries that you're showing me?
The toe photo is Marvius, my partner, and the arm, that's me.
Don't buy the photos, madam.
I have the scar right here.
Yeah, and don't buy that photo. This photo was a result of this date.
No, it all happened the same day that we're referring to.
Why are you showing me a picture of her toe?
Because when the glass broke and it was flying, somehow her toe got cut.
That's not true.
That is what happened.
Just a second. What other evidence do you have to show me with regard to this injury that took place on that date?
That was mainly what I took. The police told me to take pictures of it because they already had her on file from a previous incident of putting her hands on me.
If she put her hands on you before, why didn't you move?
Making any sense.
Shh. There's an indication here that there was listen to me.
True, but
if she
that's
put her...
That's the only place that I could afford at the moment.
But you weren't paying anything. You weren't working. You weren't doing nothing.
I'm done. You're finished. You have a counterclaim. Your counterclaim's dismissed. You, sir, you had a big fight with her because you moved in and you weren't paying rent. You hadn't paid rent since July. So if she's annoyed with you, there's absolutely no basis for her to put her hands on anybody. But you got into a scuffle that day. Did you damage her computer?
No, sir, I didn't.
I believe that you didn't damage her computer.
I didn't.
Shh, listen to me. I believe that the computer may have gotten damaged during the course of this fight where you and your girlfriend were there, right? Just a second. You and your girlfriend were there. See, I have a big problem with you because I know that he's a squatter. But you led me to believe that you had to give this house back to the bank as a result of his not paying rent. That's what you led me to believe in your answer.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. And that was not true. When somebody tells me something that's not true, I find their testimony always a little suspect. Do you understand? He was injured. There's no question he was injured with shards of glass. Police saw the injury, and he has pictures bleeding on that date. That's a result of what happened that you did to him. And you may have been angry. Was your friend angry as well? Because you both ran off.
This is what happened, okay?
Sure, I'd like to hear you try to tell me what happened.
The laptop was not damaged due to the scuffle. He was already banging on it, and then he poured Pepsi on it. I had to...
Did he pour Pepsi on the computer before or after you stabbed him with the glass?
No, this is before.
I don't believe a word of that.
Ma'am, this is the truth. And I literally walked outside so that I could get some help.
Yeah.
I had to call my girlfriend, and at that time,
no, you don't call your girlfriend, you call the police.
Every time that the police have been called, they have not helped me.
Your girlfriend's not going to help you. You're trying to talk over me. Your girlfriend's not going to help you.
I had no family in Atlanta.
On the day of the incident, the police were wondering, like, where was she so they can get...
Don't tell me what the police were wondering, sir. You haven't paid rent in a place for 7 months. Are you still working fast food?
Yeah, I'm working now.
Did you tell me initially when I asked you a question, and we can have Whitney read it back, when I asked you where you were living, you said you were living with a friend.
Yeah, because I
Just a second. You were living with a friend, but that's not true because when we tried to contact you, the contract address that you gave us was, that's how I knew you lived there and that you weren't telling me the truth. Do you understand?
Yeah, I said I recently moved from the...
No, you didn't say that.
I recently have moved from that location, from that home.
Goodbye. Your case is dismissed. So's yours. Goodbye. You deserve each other.
This court is adjourned.
I wasn't squatting.
He only paid to move in, and I didn't get anything after that month of July.
Well, how am I supposed to pay rent if I was told I could be there?
Because that's what Gen Z babies do.
Squatters tend to have more rights than the landlords, it seems, these days. I mean, he moved in, he paid one payment to move in, and hold the spot and never paid again after that. And like you said, has been there for 7 months. She was not honest about, you know, in the papers it was a little bit unclear, or actually it was very clear, just inaccurate, that the reason that she had to leave this place was solely due to him not paying rent. She made it seem like she had to give it over to the bank due to some lack of payment.
Because she lost her job and...
Exactly. So a lot about the lost job, a lot about all of this, but I mean, I just wonder who's paying utilities on the house now. He's been living there for 7 months. It's owned by the bank now, I believe.
I think it's owned by the bank.
And I don't think they're paying for his water and heating. So I wonder if
somebody's
what's going
paying
on.
for them.
Someone.
Hi, xin chào các bạn. Chào mừng các bạn đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay chúng ta hãy cùng tô màu cho bức tranh về hình ảnh một đôi giày nhé. Chúng ta hãy cùng bắt đầu thôi nào. Mình sẽ tô màu đen. Chào các bạn, chào mừng các bạn đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay chúng ta hãy cùng học viện với lớp 7, bài cấu tạo của trái đất. Cấu tạo bên trong của trái đất. Trái đất được cấu tạo bởi 3 lớp từ ngoài vào trong, bao gồm vỏ trái đất, manti và nhân trái đất. Việc nghiên cứu vật chất trong lòng trái đất là một vấn đề khó khăn. Các nhà khoa học hiện nay dùng phương pháp địa chấn để suy đoán cấu trúc cũng như thành phần và trạng thái của vật chất ở trong lòng trái đất. Đây là hình ảnh cấu tạo ở bên trong của lòng trái đất. Đây là nhân lọng, ý rắn, manti, quyến dẻo, rắn. Độ dày của vỏ trái đất từ 5 đến 70 km, càng xuống sâu nhiệt độ càng tăng, tối đa đến 1000 độ C. Độ dày của manti là 2900 km, nhiệt độ từ 1500 độ C đến 3700 độ C. Nhân độ dày khoảng 3000 đến 4000, độ dày khoảng 3400 km, nhiệt độ khoảng 5000 độ C. Các địa mảng vỏ trái đất được cấu tạo bởi các địa mảng nằm kề nhau do tác động của vật chất nóng chảy, magma trong lớp manti. Các mảng di chuyển với tốc độ rất chậm. Trong khi di chuyển, các địa mảng có thể xô vào nhau hoặc tách xa nhau. Ở đới tiếp giáp giữa các mảng sẽ hình thành các dãy núi, các vực sâu, kèm theo là các hiện tượng động đất và núi lửa. Khi một mảng đại dương và một mảng lục địa xô vào nhau, sẽ hình thành một dải núi lửa ở rìa mảng lục địa, tạo ra dãy núi cao ở lục địa và vực biển sâu ở đại dương. Điển hình là dãy núi Andes và vực biển Peru, Chile ở Nam Mỹ. Đây là hình ảnh các địa mảng ở lớp vỏ trái đất. Mảng Thái Bình Dương, mảng Nam Mỹ, mảng Bắc Mỹ, mảng Phi, mảng Âu Á, mảng Ấn Độ, Australia và mảng Thái Bình Dương. Màu đỏ là hai mảng xô vào nhau, màu xanh là hai mảng tách xa nhau. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 là các địa mảng nhỏ. Hi, xin chào các bạn. Chào mừng các bạn đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay chúng ta hãy cùng học lịch sử và địa lý lớp 6, bài biển và đại dương. Nước mặn chiếm 97,5% khối nước trên trái đất, gần như toàn bộ nằm trong các biển và đại dương. Nước trong các biển và đại dương có nhiệt độ và độ muối khác nhau theo vĩ độ và luân vận động. Đại dương thế giới là lớp nước liên tục bao phủ hơn 70% diện tích bề mặt trái đất, bao gồm Thái Bình Dương, Đại Tây Dương, Ấn Độ Dương và Bắc Băng Dương. Đây là biển và đại dương trên thế giới. Đây là Thái Bình Dương, Đại Tây Dương, Ấn Độ Dương. Còn đây là châu Nam Cực, châu Âu, châu Mỹ, châu Á, châu Phi và châu Đại Dương. Tháng 6 năm 2011, Hiệp hội Địa lý Quốc gia Hoa Kỳ chính thức công nhận Nam Đại Dương, Nam Băng Dương là đại dương thứ 5 trên thế giới. Độ muối, nhiệt độ của nước biển và đại dương có vị mặn. Độ muối trung bình của nước đại dương là 35%, tức là trung bình trong 1 kg nước đại dương có 35 gram muối. Độ muối của nước trong các vùng biển không giống nhau, tùy thuộc vào lượng nước sông chảy vào nhiều hay ít, lượng mưa và độ bốc hơi lớn hay nhỏ. Ở vùng biển nhiệt đới, độ muối trung bình khoảng 35 đến 36%. Ở vùng biển ôn đới, độ muối trung bình khoảng 34 đến 35. Nhiệt độ trung bình bề mặt toàn bộ đại dương thế giới là khoảng 17 độ C. Nhiệt độ trung bình nước biển trên mặt ở vùng nhiệt đới dao động từ 24 đến 27 độ C. Ở vùng ôn đới dao động từ 16 đến 18 độ C. Lượng muối của đại dương thế giới nếu đem rải đều trên mặt lục địa sẽ tạo nên một lớp dày hơn 150 mét. Ở đới lạnh, độ muối của nước biển thấp do nước băng tan và bốc hơi ít. Ở vùng chí tuyến, độ muối cao do lượng bốc hơi nhiều. Sóng biển. Đứng trên bờ biển, người ta thấy sóng ở ngoài khơi xô vào bờ, tạo cảm giác là nước di chuyển theo chiều ngang, nhưng thực chất nước chỉ dao động tại chỗ. Sóng biển chủ yếu được hình thành do tác động của gió. Gió thổi càng mạnh và thời gian càng lâu thì sóng biển càng lớn. Khi ngoài khơi xảy ra động đất hay núi lửa ngầm, có thể xuất hiện những sóng dài đơn độc, di chuyển nhanh và đến bờ có thể cao trên 20 mét, gọi là sóng thần. Sóng thần là thiên tai khủng khiếp gây thiệt hại nặng nề về người và tài sản. Hi, xin chào các bạn, chào mừng các bạn đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay chúng ta cùng học địa lý lớp 6, bài nước ngầm và băng hà. Hồ thủy điện Hòa Bình được xây dựng tại tỉnh Hòa Bình, trên sông Đà. Đây là nhà máy thủy điện lớn nhất Việt Nam. Từ năm 1994 đến năm 2012, Hồ thủy điện Hòa Bình có nhiệm vụ phòng chống lũ lụt cho đồng bằng sông Hồng, là nguồn cung cấp điện chủ lực cho điện lưới quốc gia. Hồ góp phần quan trọng vào việc cung cấp nước tưới cho sản xuất nông nghiệp ở vùng hạ lưu sông Hồng. Hồ cũng cải thiện việc đi lại bằng đường thủy ở cả thượng lưu và hạ lưu. Đây là hình ảnh đập thủy điện. Còn đây là điểm du lịch ven hồ và nuôi cá ở trên hồ. Nước ngầm là nước nằm trong tầng chứa nước, thường xuyên dưới bề mặt đất. Nước ngầm được tạo nên chủ yếu bởi nước mưa, nước sông hồ thấm xuống đất. Lượng nước ngầm nhiều hay ít, mực nước ngầm nông hay sâu phụ thuộc vào địa hình, nguồn cung cấp nước và lượng bốc hơi. Nước ngầm là nguồn cung cấp nước sinh hoạt và nước tưới quan trọng trên thế giới. Nước ngầm góp phần ổn định dòng chảy của sông ngòi, đồng thời cố định các lớp đất đá trên, ngăn chặn sự sụt lún. Nước ngầm từ xa xưa được con người khai thác để sử dụng trong sinh hoạt dưới dạng các giếng đào. Đây là hình ảnh sơ đồ sự hình thành nước ngầm. Biển bốc hơi lên tạo ra mưa ngấm xuống đất qua tầng thấm nước và tạo thành tầng nước ngầm. Còn đây là tầng không thấm nước. Băng hà. Trên trái đất, 10% diện tích lục địa được bao phủ bởi băng hà. Trong đó, 99% khối lượng băng nằm tại châu Nam Cực và đảo Greenland. 1% còn lại thuộc về các sông băng, phân bố rải rác trên núi cao của các lục địa. Băng hà góp phần điều hòa nhiệt độ trên trái đất, cung cấp nước cho các dòng sông. Băng hà chiếm gần 70% trữ lượng nước ngọt của trái đất và ít bị ô nhiễm. Nguồn nước ngọt này ngày càng trở nên quan trọng khi lượng nước sạch ở sông hồ, nước ngầm đang suy giảm cả về số lượng và chất lượng. Vào thời kỳ băng phát triển nhất, mực nước biển thấp hơn hiện nay 120 mét và gần 30% diện tích các lục địa bị các sông băng che lấp. Đây là hình ảnh sông băng trên dãy núi Alper. Hi, xin chào các bạn, chào mừng các bạn đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay chúng ta cùng học địa lý lớp 6, bài sông và hồ. Nước sông, hồ, nước ngầm và băng hà là nguồn nước ngọt chính trên trái đất. Sông là dòng chảy thường xuyên tương đối lớn trên bề mặt lục địa và đảo, được các nguồn nước mưa, nước ngầm, nước băng tuyết tan nuôi dưỡng. Mỗi con sông đều có một vùng đất cung cấp nước thường xuyên cho nó, gọi là lưu vực sông. Một hệ thống sông gồm sông chính, phụ lưu là sông đổ nước vào sông chính, và chi lưu là các sông thoát nước cho sông chính. Đây là hình ảnh mô hình hệ thống sông. Đây là các chi lưu. Đây là dòng chính. thụ lưu và ranh giới lưu vực sông. Sông Amazon là con sông có lưu vực rộng nhất và lưu lượng nước nhiều nhất thế giới. Vào mùa lũ, chỗ rộng nhất của sông có thể lên đến hơn 40 km. Vì thế người ta còn gọi nó là sông biển. Trong một năm, mực nước sông thường thay đổi theo mùa. Vào mùa lũ, mực nước lòng sông dâng cao. Vào mùa cạn, mực nước trong lòng sông hạ thấp. Với những sông có nguồn cung cấp nước chủ yếu từ mưa, thì mùa lũ trùng với mùa mưa, mùa cạn trùng với mùa khô. Với những sông có nguồn cung cấp nước chủ yếu là tuyết tan, thì mùa lũ trùng với mùa xuân. Còn những sông có nguồn cung cấp nước chủ yếu từ băng tan, thì mùa lũ vào đầu mùa hạn. Những sông có nhiều nguồn cung cấp nước khác nhau thì mùa lũ phức tạp hơn. Sông ngòi đem lại nhiều lợi ích cho con người. Tuy nhiên, cũng gây ra lụt lội, ảnh hưởng đến sản xuất, gây thiệt hại về người và tài sản. Hồ là vùng trũng chứa nước trên bề mặt trái đất, không trực tiếp thông với biển. Các hồ trên trái đất khác nhau về nguồn gốc hình thành, hình dạng và kích thước. Đây là hình ảnh hồ Crater ở Hoa Kỳ, là hồ hình thành từ miệng núi lửa đã tắt gần 7.000 năm trước. Còn đây là hồ Tây ở Hà Nội, là hồ Móng Ngựa, được hình thành từ một khúc uốn của sông Hồng. Sử dụng tổng hợp nước sông hồ. Nước sông hồ được con người sử dụng vào nhiều mục đích: giao thông, du lịch, nước cho sinh hoạt, tưới tiêu, đánh bắt và nuôi trồng thủy sản, làm thủy điện. Trước đây, nước sông hồ chủ yếu được sử dụng vào các mục đích đơn lẻ, hoặc cho giao thông, hoặc để tưới tiêu, hoặc để nuôi trồng thủy sản. Hi, xin chào các bạn, chào mừng các bạn đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay chúng ta cùng học địa lý lớp 6 bài thời tiết và khí hậu. Khái niệm về thời tiết và khí hậu. Thời tiết là trạng thái khí quyển tại một thời điểm và khu vực cụ thể, được xác định bằng nhiệt độ, độ ẩm, mưa, mây, gió. Thời tiết luôn thay đổi. Người ta quan trắc nhiệt độ, độ ẩm, khí áp, gió, mây, mưa, các hiện tượng thời tiết tại các trạm khí tượng vào cùng những thời điểm nhất định trên toàn thế giới, ít nhất 4 lần vào lúc 0, 6, 12, 18 giờ GMT. Khí hậu ở một nơi là tổng hợp các yếu tố thời tiết, nhiệt độ, độ ẩm, lượng mưa, gió của nơi đó trong một thời gian dài và đã trở thành quy luật. Các đới khí hậu trên trái đất. Trên trái đất có 5 đới khí hậu: đới nóng, nhiệt đới quanh năm nóng, nhiệt độ trung bình năm không thấp hơn 20 độ C, lượng mưa trung bình năm từ 1.000 mm đến trên 2.000 mm. Gió thổi thường xuyên là gió mậu dịch. 2 đới ôn hòa, ôn đới, có nhiệt độ không khí trung bình năm dưới 20 độ C, tháng nóng nhất không thấp hơn 10 độ C. Các mùa trong năm rất rõ rệt, lượng mưa trung bình năm dao động từ 500 mm đến 1.000 mm. Gió thổi thường xuyên là gió Tây ôn đới. 2 đới lạnh, hàn đới, là khu vực có băng tuyết hầu như quanh năm. Nhiệt độ trung bình của tất cả các tháng trong năm đều dưới 10 độ C. Lượng mưa trung bình năm dưới 500 mm. Gió thổi thường xuyên là gió đông cực. Đây là hình ảnh các đới khí hậu trên trái đất. Đây là đới lạnh, đới ôn hòa và đới nóng. Biến đổi khí hậu. Biểu hiện của biến đổi khí hậu là sự thay đổi của khí hậu trong một khoảng thời gian dài do tác động của các điều kiện tự nhiên và hoạt động của con người. Biểu hiện bởi sự nóng lên toàn cầu, mực nước biển dâng và gia tăng các hiện tượng khí tượng thủy văn cực đoan. Ngày nay, biến đổi khí hậu diễn ra ngày càng nhanh do con người đưa vào khí quyển ngày càng nhiều khí nhà kính. Đây là hình ảnh lòng hồ vào mùa cạn. Phòng tránh thiên tai và ứng phó với biến đổi khí hậu. Biến đổi khí hậu làm cho thiên tai xảy ra ngày càng nhiều và khốc liệt. Để phòng tránh thiên tai hiệu quả, chúng ta cần thực hiện một số yêu cầu. Hi, xin chào các bạn, chào mừng các bạn đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay chúng ta hãy cùng học địa lý lớp 6, bài các dạng địa hình chính trên trái đất. Các dạng địa hình chính. Núi là dạng địa hình nhô cao rõ rệt so với mặt bằng xung quanh. Độ cao của núi so với mực nước biển là từ 500 m trở lên. Núi thường có đỉnh nhọn, sườn dốc. Chỗ tiếp giáp giữa núi và mặt đất xung quanh gọi là chân núi. Sườn núi càng dốc thì đường chân núi biểu hiện càng rõ. Đây là quang cảnh núi Alper ở Thụy Sĩ. Cà phê. Kéo to bóng bóng. Đồi cũng là dạng địa hình nhô cao. Độ cao của đồi so với vùng đất xung quanh thường không quá 200 m. Đồi có đỉnh tròn, sườn thoải. Himalaya là dãy núi đồ sộ với đỉnh Everest cao nhất thế giới. Liền kề với dãy núi này là cao nguyên Tây Tạng, cao nguyên cao nhất thế giới, cao trung bình trên 4 đến 500 m so với mực biển, có diện tích 2,5 triệu km vuông. Đây là quang cảnh đồi ở Việt Nam. Cao nguyên là vùng đất tương đối bằng phẳng hoặc gợn sóng, thường cao trên 500 m so với mực nước biển, có sườn dốc, nhiều khi dựng đứng thành vách so với vùng đất xung quanh. Đây là hình ảnh cao nguyên Patagonia ở Mỹ. Khoảng cách đo theo chiều thẳng đứng từ một địa điểm so với mực nước biển trung bình gọi là độ cao tuyệt đối của địa điểm đó. Khoảng cách đo theo chiều thẳng đứng từ một điểm ở trên cao so với một điểm khác là ở dưới thấp gọi là độ cao tương đối của điểm đó. Đồng bằng là dạng địa hình thấp có bề mặt khá bằng phẳng hoặc gợn sóng, có thể rộng tới hàng triệu km vuông. Độ cao của hầu hết đồng bằng là dưới 200 m so với mực nước biển. Đây là quang cảnh đồng bằng châu thổ sông Cửu Long. Khoáng sản. Khoáng sản là những khoáng vật và khoáng chất có ích trong tự nhiên, nằm trong vỏ trái đất mà con người có thể khai thác để sử dụng trong sản xuất và đời sống. Hi, xin chào các bạn, chào mừng các bạn đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay chúng ta hãy cùng học địa lý lớp 6 bài núi lửa và động đất. Ở những nơi vỏ trái đất bị đứt gãy, các dòng magma theo các khe nứt của vỏ trái đất phun trào lên bề mặt cả trên lục địa và đại dương tạo thành núi lửa. Đây là hình ảnh cấu tạo và hoạt động của một núi lửa. Đây là miệng phun, ống phun, miệng núi lửa, còn đây là dung nham, còn đây là tro bụi. Năm 1815, núi lửa Tambora ở Indonesia phun trào. Hậu quả là có hơn 70.000 người chết. Sau khi thảm họa xảy ra, chủ yếu do nạn đói vì mất mùa, bệnh dịch và không khí bị ô nhiễm. Trước khi núi lửa phun trào, có thể mặt đất rung nhẹ, nóng hơn, có khí bốc lên ở miệng núi. Khi núi lửa có dấu hiệu phun trào, người dân quanh vùng phải sơ tán nhanh chóng khỏi khu vực đó. Núi lửa phun trào gây thiệt hại cho các vùng lân cận, tro bụi và dung nham vùi lấp các thành thị, làng mạc, ruộng nương, gây thiệt hại về người và tài sản. Tuy nhiên, các vùng đất đỏ phì nhiêu do dung nham bị phong hóa lại rất thuận lợi cho sản xuất nông nghiệp. Động đất là các rung chuyển đột ngột, mạnh mẽ của vỏ trái đất, chủ yếu do hoạt động của núi lửa, sự dịch chuyển các mảng kiến tạo hoặc sự đứt gãy trong vỏ trái đất. Động đất thường được lan truyền trên một diện tích rộng lớn. Đây là hình ảnh nhà cửa bị đổ nát sau một trận động đất ở Tứ Xuyên. Có một số dấu hiệu trước khi động đất xảy ra như mực nước giếng thay đổi, nổi bong bóng, động vật hoảng loạn, tìm nơi trú ẩn. Cường độ động đất được tính bằng Richter, nhẹ là 4 đến 4,9 độ, các vật treo lúc lắc, trung bình 5 đến 5,9 độ. Nứt đất, nứt công trình xây dựng, mực nước giếng thay đổi, mạnh 6 đến 6,9 độ. Công trình xây dựng thông thường bị sụp đổ, rất mạnh 7 đến 7,9 độ. Tàn phá nghiêm trọng, đê sụt lở, đường xá bị phá hủy. Cực mạnh 8 đến 8,9 độ, tàn phá vô cùng nghiêm trọng, trên diện tích rộng, phá hủy. Trên hoặc bằng 9 độ, môi trường bị biến đổi hoàn toàn, rất hiếm khi xảy ra. Hi, xin chào các bạn, chào mừng các bạn đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay chúng ta cùng học địa lý lớp 6, bài trái đất trong hệ mặt trời. Vị trí của trái đất trong hệ mặt trời. Vũ trụ là không gian vô tận. Trong vũ trụ bao la có vô số thiên hà. Thiên hà chứa hệ mặt trời gọi là dải ngân hà. Nằm ở trung tâm của hệ mặt trời là một ngôi sao tự phát ra ánh sáng, đó là mặt trời. Chuyển động xung quanh mặt trời là 8 hành tinh. Các hành tinh ngoài chuyển động xung quanh mặt trời còn tự quay quanh mình. Hành tinh trong hệ mặt trời là những thiên thể không tự phát sáng. Ánh sáng chúng ta nhìn thấy từ các hành tinh là do phản chiếu ánh sáng mặt trời. Đây là hình ảnh các hành tinh trong hệ mặt trời. Đây là mặt trời, còn đây là trái đất. Khoảng cách từ trái đất đến mặt trời là khoảng cách lý tưởng giúp cho trái đất nhận được lượng nhiệt và ánh sáng phù hợp để sự sống có thể tồn tại và phát triển. Hình dạng kích thước của trái đất. Vào thời cổ đại, hầu hết con người đều nghĩ rằng trái đất là một mặt phẳng. Tuy nhiên, thế kỷ 5 trước công nguyên, thế kỷ 4 trước công nguyên, triết gia người Hy Lạp Aristotle đã đưa ra các bằng chứng cho thấy trái đất là dạng hình cầu. Trái đất có bán kính xích đạo là 6.378 km. Diện tích bề mặt là khoảng 510 triệu km vuông. Nhờ có kích thước và khối lượng đủ lớn, trái đất đã tạo ra lực hút giữ được các chất khí làm thành lớp vỏ khí bảo vệ mình. Tháng 9 năm 1519, nhà thám hiểm người Bồ Đào Nha Magellan đã chỉ huy 5 con tàu xuất phát từ bờ biển Tây Ban Nha đi về phía Tây. Trải qua nhiều sóng gió, tháng 9 năm 1522, chỉ còn một con tàu quay trở về Tây Ban Nha. Như vậy, bằng cách chỉ đi về phía Tây, con tàu đã đi được một vòng quanh thế giới. Đây là hình ảnh bóng trái đất trên mặt trăng vào đêm nguyệt thực. Còn đây là hình ảnh trái đất chụp từ vệ tinh. Còn đây là bán kính xích đạo của trái đất. Hi, xin chào các bạn, chào mừng các bạn đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay chúng ta hãy cùng học lịch sử lớp 6, bài Trung Quốc từ thời cổ đại. Từ thời xa xưa, người Trung Quốc đã chế tạo ra la bàn để xác định phương hướng. Họ còn là chủ nhân của một nền văn minh phát triển với nhiều thành tựu mà cho đến ngày nay nhân loại vẫn đang được thừa hưởng. Đây chính là hình ảnh la bàn, một phát minh của người Trung Quốc. Điều kiện tự nhiên của Trung Quốc cổ đại. Người Trung Quốc đã xây dựng nền văn minh đầu tiên ở lưu vực Hoàng Hà, sau đó mở rộng đến lưu vực Trường Giang. Dương Tử, phù sa của hai dòng sông này đã tạo nên đồng bằng Hoa Bắc, Hoa Trung và Hoa Nam rộng lớn, phì nhiêu thuận lợi cho phát triển nông nghiệp. Tuy nhiên, lũ lụt do hai con sông cũng đã gây ra nhiều khó khăn cho đời sống của người dân. Thượng nguồn các dòng sông là vùng đất cao, có nhiều đồng cỏ nên chăn nuôi đã phát triển từ sớm. Hoàng Hà là sông dài thứ hai Trung Quốc và thứ 6 thế giới. Trường Giang là sông dài nhất Trung Quốc và thứ 3 thế giới. Đây là hình ảnh lược đồ Trung Quốc thời nhà Tần. Màu xanh lá cây là lãnh thổ Trung Quốc thời nhà Tần. Từ thế kỷ 21 đến thế kỷ 3 trước công nguyên, lịch sử Trung Quốc đã trải qua các triều đại Hạ, Thương, Chu. Cuối thời Chu, Trung Quốc bị chia thành nhiều nước nhỏ, trong đó nước Tần có tiềm lực kinh tế và quân sự mạnh nhất, lần lượt tiêu diệt các đối thủ. Năm 221 trước công nguyên, Tần Thủy Hoàng đã thống nhất lãnh thổ, tự xưng hoàng đế. Nhà Tần chia đất nước thành các quận, huyện, đặt các chức quan cai quản, lập ra triều đại phong kiến đầu tiên ở Trung Quốc. Để củng cố sự thống nhất đất nước, nhà Tần còn áp dụng chế độ đo lường tiền tệ, chữ viết và pháp luật chung trên cả nước. Nhiều giai cấp mới được hình thành, quan hệ bóc lột giữa địa chủ và tá điền dần được thành lập. Nhà Tần tồn tại 15 năm, sau đó bị suy yếu. Năm 26 trước công nguyên, Lưu Bang, một địa chủ phong kiến, đã lật đổ triều đại nhà Tần, lập ra nhà Hán. Đây là Tần Thủy Hoàng. Còn đây là sơ đồ phân hóa xã hội dưới thời nhà Tần. Quý tộc quan lại chiếm ruộng đất của địa chủ, nông dân một bộ phận giàu có. Nông dân bị mất ruộng đất phải nhận ruộng để canh tác và tá điền, nông dân lĩnh canh. Hi, xin chào các bạn, chào mừng các bạn đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay chúng ta hãy cùng học lịch sử lớp 6 bài Ấn Độ cổ đại. Tắm nước sông Hằng Kumela là một trong những lễ hội tôn giáo cổ và lớn nhất thế giới. Tín đồ Ấn Độ giáo tin tưởng nước ở sông Hằng, sông mẹ, linh thiêng sẽ tẩy rửa mọi tội lỗi của họ. Đây là hình ảnh hội tắm nước sông Hằng ở Ấn Độ. Điều kiện tự nhiên. Ấn Độ là một bán đảo ở Nam Á, có 3 mặt giáp biển, nằm trên trục đường biển từ Tây sang Đông. Phía Bắc được bao bọc bởi một vòng cung khổng lồ là dãy Himalaya. Thoải dần về phía Nam là các đồng bằng sông Ấn, sông Hằng rộng lớn. Chính nơi đây đã hình thành nên những trung tâm văn minh sớm nhất của nhân loại. Khởi đầu là nền văn minh sông Ấn. Năm 2500 trước công nguyên, khởi đầu nền văn minh sông Hằng 1500 trước công nguyên. 600 trước công nguyên mở đầu vương quốc Magadha. 321 trước công nguyên thành lập vương triều Maurya. 185 trước công nguyên vương triều Maurya bị lật đổ, Ấn Độ bị chia rẽ. Đây là hình ảnh lược đồ Ấn Độ cổ đại. Miền Trung và miền Nam là cao nguyên Deccan với rừng rậm và núi đá hiểm trở. Chỉ có vùng cực Nam và dọc theo hai bờ ven biển là những đồng bằng nhỏ hẹp, là nơi sinh sống tương đối thuận lợi, dân cư đông đúc. Lưu vực sông Ấn chịu tác động của sa mạc nên rất ít mưa, khí hậu khô nóng. Ở lưu vực sông Hằng, do tác động của gió mùa nên lượng mưa nhiều, cây cối tươi tốt. Sông Ấn dài gần 3.000 km, theo tiếng Phạn là Sindhu. Về sau, người Ba Tư đọc thành Hindu. và gọi bán đảo Ấn Độ là Hindustan, nghĩa là xứ các con sông. Chế độ xã hội ở Ấn Độ cổ đại khoảng năm 2500 trước công nguyên, người bản địa Dravida đã xây dựng những thành thị đầu tiên dọc theo hai bên bờ sông Ấn. Giữa thiên niên kỷ 2 trước công nguyên, người Arya từ vùng Trung Á tràn vào miền Bắc Ấn Độ, xua đuổi người Dravida và biến họ thành đẳng cấp thứ tư, Sudra, trong hệ thống 4 đẳng cấp dựa trên sự phân biệt về chủng tộc và màu da. Chế độ này còn được gọi là chế độ đẳng cấp Varna. Đây là hình ảnh sơ đồ chế độ đẳng cấp Varna. Hi, xin chào các bạn, chào mừng các bạn đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay chúng ta hãy cùng học lịch sử lớp 6, bài các quốc gia ở Đông Nam Á. Cái nôi của nền văn minh lúa nước. Do vị trí địa lý nằm án ngữ trên con đường hàng hải nối liền giữa Ấn Độ Dương và Thái Bình Dương, từ lâu khu vực Đông Nam Á vẫn được coi là cầu nối giữa Trung Quốc, Nhật Bản với Ấn Độ, Tây Á và Địa Trung Hải. Đông Nam Á bao gồm hai khu vực riêng biệt là Đông Nam Á lục địa và Đông Nam Á hải đảo, lại nằm trong vùng nhiệt đới gió mùa, có lượng mưa lớn nên rất thích hợp cho sự phát triển của cây lúa nước và nhiều cây trồng khác. Nơi đây được biết đến là cái nôi của nền văn minh lúa nước và là quê hương của nhiều loại cây gia vị, hương liệu nổi tiếng. Quá trình hình thành các quốc gia sơ kỳ ở Đông Nam Á. Ngay từ những thế kỷ trước công nguyên, đầu công nguyên, cư dân Đông Nam Á đã phát triển nông nghiệp trồng lúa nước và một số nghề thủ công truyền thống như đúc đồng, rèn sắt, dệt, làm gốm. Đây chính là cơ sở cho sự ra đời của những quốc gia sơ kỳ trong khu vực. Sự ra đời của các quốc gia này còn gắn liền với các hoạt động giao lưu kinh tế, văn hóa với Trung Quốc, Ấn Độ. Phía đông đảo Borneo, Malaysia đã phát hiện được 7 chiếc cột đá có khắc chữ Sanskrit, chữ Phạn. Hiện vật gốm Hán trong những bộ táng ở Borneo cho thấy mối quan hệ buôn bán với Trung Quốc từ thời nhà Hán. Ở Thái Lan, tại di chỉ khảo cổ Công Túc thế kỷ 3 đến 4, đã phát hiện được một số mảnh gốm, một số pho tượng Phật nhỏ bằng đồng, một đền đồng kiểu La Mã. Khoảng thế kỷ 7 trước công nguyên đến thế kỷ 7, khu vực Đông Nam Á lần lượt xuất hiện một số quốc gia sơ kỳ như Văn Lang, Âu Lạc, Champa, Phù Nam thuộc Việt Nam, các quốc gia ở hạ lưu sông Chao Phraya thuộc Thái Lan và các đảo thuộc Indonesia ngày nay. Đây là hình ảnh lược đồ một số quốc gia sơ kỳ và phong kiến ở Đông Nam Á. Do vị trí thuận lợi, buôn bán bằng đường biển ở một số quốc gia ngày càng phát đạt, một số thành thị đồng thời là những hải cảng sầm uất, đã xuất hiện như ốc eo Việt Nam, Takola, bán đảo Mã Lai nay thuộc Thái Lan. Đây là hình ảnh đồng tiền La Mã được phát hiện tại di chỉ ốc eo. Còn đây là nhẫn vàng khắc chữ Phạn của Ấn Độ. Hi, xin chào các bạn, chào mừng các bạn đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay chúng ta hãy cùng học lịch sử lớp 6, bài Nhà nước Văn Lang Âu Lạc. Nhà nước đầu tiên của người Việt cổ. Dù ai đi ngược về xuôi nhớ ngày giỗ tổ mùng 10 tháng 3, từ lâu đời tín ngưỡng thờ cúng Hùng Vương đã ăn sâu vào tâm thức, tình cảm của những người dân Việt và trở thành truyền thống đặc biệt của dân tộc ta. Hình ảnh dưới đây đã phản ánh phần nào không khí của ngày giỗ tổ. Đây là hình ảnh lễ hội đền Hùng ở Phú Thọ. Vào khoảng thế kỷ thứ 7 trước công nguyên, nhờ sự phát triển của công cụ bằng đồng và sắt, đời sống sản xuất của người Việt cổ đã có sự chuyển biến rõ rệt. Nhu cầu chung sống, cùng làm thủy lợi và chống ngoại xâm đã thúc đẩy sự ra đời của nhà nước đầu tiên ở Việt Nam, nhà nước Văn Lang. Địa bàn chủ yếu của nước Văn Lang gắn liền với lưu vực các dòng sông lớn ở Bắc Bộ và Bắc Trung Bộ ngày nay. Nước Văn Lang chia làm 15 bộ, đứng đầu liên minh 15 bộ là Hùng Vương. Tương truyền trải qua 18 đời, cha truyền con nối. Đây là hình ảnh sơ đồ tổ chức nhà nước Văn Lang. Đứng đầu là Trung ương là Hùng Vương Lạc Hầu, hai bộ, bộ Lạc Tướng, dưới là Triềm Trạ. Tuy còn sơ khai, chưa có pháp luật thành văn và chữ viết, nhưng sự ra đời của nhà nước Văn Lang đã mở ra thời kỳ dựng nước đầu tiên trong lịch sử dân tộc. Sự ra đời nước Âu Lạc. Cuối thế kỷ 3 trước công nguyên, nhà Tần đem quân đánh xuống phía Nam. Người Lạc Việt và người Âu Việt đã đoàn kết với nhau cùng chống xâm lược. Họ đã cử ra người Tuấn Kiệt là Thục Phán lãnh đạo cuộc kháng chiến. Thục Phán lên làm vua, xưng là An Dương Vương, lập ra nước Âu Lạc khoảng năm 208 trước công nguyên. Tổ chức nhà nước Âu Lạc không có nhiều thay đổi so với nhà nước Văn Lang, nhưng vua có quyền thế cao hơn trong việc trị nước. Lãnh thổ đất nước được mở rộng hơn, có quân đội mạnh, vũ khí tốt, đặc biệt có thành Cổ Loa kiên cố vững chắc. Kinh đô của Âu Lạc đã chuyển từ miền Trung Du Phong Châu xuống vùng đồng bằng ở Cổ Loa, Đông Anh, Hà Nội ngày nay. Đây là hình ảnh sơ đồ thành Cổ Loa được xây dựng theo hình xoáy chôn ốc, có 3 vòng khép kín với tổng chiều dài là 16.000 m. Hi, xin chào các bạn, chào mừng các bạn đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay chúng ta cùng học lịch sử lớp 6 bài Ai Cập và Lưỡng Hà cổ đại. Đây là chữ viết của người Ai Cập cổ đại, còn đây là hình ảnh chữ viết hình lên trên đất sét của người Lưỡng Hà cổ đại. Sông Nin dài khoảng 6.400 km, đoạn chảy qua Ai Cập dài 700 km, là con đường giao thông huyết mạch của đất nước. Sông Euphrates là Tigre, bắt nguồn từ vùng núi thuộc Thổ Nhĩ Kỳ, chảy qua Iraq và đổ ra vịnh Ba Tư. Ai Cập nằm ở vùng đông bắc của châu Phi, nơi có dòng sông Nin chảy qua. Lưỡng Hà là tên gọi vùng đất giữa hai con sông Euphrates và Tigre ở khu vực Tây Nam Á. Herodot đã từng viết, Ai Cập là tặng phẩm của sông Nin. Sông Nin không chỉ tạo nên ở vùng thung lũng một dải đất phù sa màu mỡ, có chỗ dày tới 10 mét, mà hàng năm còn mang nước tưới cho cây cối, hoa màu tốt tươi, biến Ai Cập từ một đống cát bụi trở thành một vườn hoa. Về mùa xuân, nước sông Euphrates và Tigre dâng cao, mang phù sa màu mỡ, bồi đắp cho vùng hạ lưu, biến vùng cửa sông trở thành đồng bằng. Bờ biển của vịnh Ba Tư phải lùi xa gần 200 km. Đây là hình ảnh lược đồ của Lưỡng Hà và Ai Cập cổ đại. Khoảng 6.000 năm trước, Ai Cập và Lưỡng Hà đã biết làm nông nghiệp. Họ đã phát minh ra cái cày, biết sử dụng sức kéo của động vật để cày ruộng, biết đắp đê đào hồ và làm hệ thống kênh mương tưới tiêu. Các dòng sông trở thành những tuyến đường giao thương chính, thúc đẩy thương mại ở Ai Cập và Lưỡng Hà phát triển. Nhờ biết khai thác những thuận lợi của điều kiện tự nhiên, cư dân Ai Cập, Lưỡng Hà đã sớm tạo dựng nền văn minh của mình. Đây là tranh vẽ người Ai Cập cổ đại canh tác nông nghiệp. Hành trình lập quốc của người Ai Cập và Lưỡng Hà. Khoảng năm 3200 trước công nguyên, ông vua huyền thoại có tên là Menes đã thống nhất các công xã, còn gọi là các nôm, thành nhà nước Ai Cập. Từ đó, Ai Cập đã trải qua các giai đoạn: Tảo kỳ vương quốc, Cổ vương quốc, Trung vương quốc, Tân vương quốc và Hậu kỳ vương quốc. Đến giữa thế kỷ 1 trước công nguyên thì bị La Mã xâm lược và thống trị.